Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to the stream. I'm here with my co-host Max. What's going on, Max? How you doing?
Nothing much. It's Friday. Hanging out with everyone in the chat and hanging out with you. What's going on with you, KG?
Hey man, not much. We just got a lot of things to cover today. We got like a full show of just a bunch of topics. I wrote down a bunch of things that people want to talk about, and what I was told all week long through the comments, like, "Hey, talk about this on the stream," and I'm like, "All right, fine, you got it." And if you guys have any other topics you want us to discuss ever, always bring it up, and we'll see if we can discuss it or not. Most of the time, it's fine to discuss, but a lot of times that's a topic that's already been done to death. So we'll just talk about like the things that are kind of relevant and that are worth talking about. I think more so than anything else, and just the stuff that people want to hear about and to discuss. I kind of like to think of this stream as like an open forum sometimes. I like to hear ideas from everybody. So if anybody's got ideas or questions, then we'll get to them. And I also want to apologize to everybody for my last stream, the QN90C stream. I didn't read a lot of questions off. I was too busy focusing on the QN90C, and I actually just had my laptop pulled up, and everything was so small, so I didn't see a lot of the questions. And yeah, that was hard to do that stream. Next time, I probably won't use my main monitor as the recording source, but since I hooked up the QN90C as my main monitor now, that's why it was like that. So yeah, we'll have a lot of thoughts on the QN90C as well, the 43-inch size that I'm reviewing right now. And a lot of people are like, "Hey, why are you doing 43-inch?" Well, it's just the only one available right now, from when I ordered it. So 55 will be coming in, but I'm kind of waiting for the 55 C3 as well. So I kind of want to line those two up as much as possible so that I can do a lot of side by side comparisons and just kind of breakdowns with them.
Yeah,
So we're gonna talk about, yeah.
I
Go
was
ahead.
just gonna add. I say, and also too, monitor wise too. Some people are looking for those type of size TVs for productivity work. So that was another reason.
Yeah, it was a personal thing for me too. Also, like, if we're being honest, I really wanted to switch out my LG C2 or C1 monitor just because I like it as a monitor. Don't get me wrong, like I love the contrast and everything. I love everything about OLED TVs when it comes to giving you that just picture quality for a monitor. It's great. But I'm somebody who also likes a lot of brightness, and I like to crank up the brightness. So even when I'm using it as a monitor, if I'm not like reducing the brightness, it will dim down a little bit. And that's something that I've ran into. I know I can go into the service menu and disable some more stuff, which I probably should have already done, but I just don't. I don't really play around with the service menu much, so I've never really dived into that. Plus, I want to sell this eventually. I don't want to sell it as something that's been used with the service menu tweaks and all that stuff. So I don't know. That's a little bit of thinking behind that. But yeah, let's say what's up to everybody in the chat. So we got James in the chat. We got Nathan Green in the chat. Lisa B, Solidarity, DP Calibrations. Dwayne, what's up? We got Nathan. We got Stop the FOMO. We got Classy. Andrew, what's up, guys? How you guys doing? All the early birds today.
Yeah.
Appreciate you
No.
guys stopping in early.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Seemed like we did multiple streams in the last couple of weeks, and people keep coming back. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's TV season. You know how that goes. Streams can pop out of nowhere.
Yeah.
That's kind of, man. What last year, that S95B craze, that was a lot of streams. That was a lot of streams. I felt like I was becoming a full time Twitch streamer at that time. Like that's how much streams we were doing. It was crazy.
Yeah, there's a lot of information going around, especially since January after CES. It just news after news, release after release. So it's good.
Yeah,
Good for us and good for everyone.
yeah, yeah. And I saw people talking about the filmmaker mode differences, the changes that they're going to make. They want to make a filmmaker mode for Dolby Vision. I guess we could touch on that really quickly. I don't have too many thoughts on it. I think the biggest takeaway from that is that filmmaker mode kind of at the time feels like there's not a lot of specific rules that they actually follow. Some of the manufacturers, like for example LG, they'll just put like dynamic tone mapping on by default for their filmmaker mode, and somehow that gets passed over as filmmaker mode. That doesn't really make sense to me, especially with all the controversy that was going on with the S95B last year. And I don't know. I feel like if you're going to do a filmmaker mode, you should have like really strict guidelines to go about doing that. And I know they have some things that they disable, but there are certain things that probably shouldn't be on filmmaker mode. And I think dynamic tone mapping on, like for LG, for example, shouldn't be on there. And I know like Classy was saying this last year too. And we were talking about that, how that doesn't make sense, but it's still on there. So um, when it comes to Dolby Vision, like how strict are they going to be with that? You know, because everybody does Dolby Vision a little bit differently too. So
Yeah, they should be a little bit more strict, especially when it comes to Dolby Vision, because it seems like they do something different with each manufacturer and stuff. Because I noticed on the Sony, well, on my Sony X95K, I like the Dolby Vision just looks, I don't know, different. Um, I really don't use it that much, so I know people say I have to have Dolby Vision, but I don't know. I think it's the skin tone specifically. I noticed that it's a little bit off on when I use Dolby Vision compared to HDR10. So
mhm,
that's just my viewpoint. So
yeah. I just want to call out this comment from Scott. Thank you. He says, "Thanks for having the show, guys. I love this. Hey, our pleasure. Like, that's awesome. I'm glad you find enjoyment in this. We have a lot of fun doing it, or else we wouldn't do it. I'll tell you that right now. So,
yeah, got a lot
um,
of people coming in. Oh,
yeah, we got some people coming in. That's good. And then we're gonna get into the main topics in just a second. I just want to make sure that we're getting up with chat. I don't like to be
yeah.
too far behind, but when we get into the topics, I know I'll fall behind chat. That's always happens. So, um,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
classy answer that question. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, classy. I'm probably gonna have to have you come by and look at the Sony X95K. So
yeah. Oh, we got Classy in here. What's going on, Classy?
oh, that's why I heard that noise. I was like, where is that coming from?
What's going on,
I
man?
only got a few minutes, but I just wanted to tell Max that the reason why he sees the shift in Dolby Vision on his Sony is because Sony is just headstrong about using Judd Whitepoint for basically everything.
Mm,
Dolby Vision, for their accurate mode, they require D65. So therefore, Sony uses an offset with Dolby Dark in order to get to that, which is going to look more greenish than their other modes. So their other modes, which are wrong,
mm,
is going to make the Dolby mode look different. And so and it also just depends on the TV too and how well it is out of the box, and what their actual white point target is on that model. So like most of them use Judd, but some of them don't, and pretty much none of them from Sony use D65, and they always use the same offset, so it never works right on all the Sonys, and that's why Dolby Vision's kind of an issue with most of the Sony models. But the A95K does it right.
mm-hmm,
Yeah, because I noticed that when I had the UAH here and when they fixed the whole Dolby Vision on their TV and I was comparing it to the X95K, I was like, ooh, this doesn't look good on X95K. And I was just like, because I was looking at the skin tones and I was like, hmm, yeah, there's something off with this. So I just use on the Apple TV, I just use HDR10 and I disable Dolby Vision on that. So that is something that I noticed on the X95K. So I know a lot of people say I have to have Dolby Vision, but unless you have two TVs side by side, you probably wouldn't even notice a difference.
yeah,
If you watch my video I did earlier, it shows what Dolby Vision does. Uh, and like I said, the problem is a lot of, especially the Sony TVs, just didn't implement it correctly.
hmm,
So that's something that they need to start changing and kind of like enforcing with Dolby Vision if you're going to use Dolby Vision, it's like the manufacturers like must do this or whatever the case may be. But it looks like they just take like the format of Dolby Vision and then they tweak it the way that they feel suited to their TV, which is I don't know. I think it's wrong in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, like filmmaker mode, Dolby Vision. That's the big discussion this week. But Sony's not part of that, so that wouldn't be really a discussion for them. What's your thoughts on the whole Dolby Vision filmmaker mode thing, Classy?
It depends on the brand of the TV. So for LG, it's going to basically do nothing but add an extra mode. For Hisense and TCL, it potentially is a good thing.
Yeah. So that's good. Let's see.
But I gotta head out. But I just wanted to let you know that it's
in
just
for a sec.
No,
yeah.
appreciate
So
you
from
chiming in.
Sony, A95K and assumedly the A95L Dolby Vision should be great. LG does Dolby Vision great with especially the G2 and assumedly the G3. But a lot of the others, like they either don't really hit enough of the targets that you need for color and Dolby Vision, or they under or over track EOTF, or they have the wrong white point or whatever. So it just depends on the TV. But yeah, as long as it's the A95 or G2, G3 going forward, then I would say Dolby Vision is what you should be using.
No, I appreciate the info, Classy.
Yep. All right.
Cool.
Talk to you later.
Later, Classy.
Take care.
Thanks for stopping by. All right. Let's see. So we talked about Dolby Vision a little bit there. Let's go into like one of the main topics, and that's going to be like the ratings longevity tests. So I'll pull that up right now.
Hot topic.
Yeah.
FOMO was already putting some info already about it, so it's gonna be interesting.
Yeah. So if you guys aren't familiar with this article, pretty much Ratings did a long-term longevity test, and they've had a bunch of panels being put to use. And the long story short, a couple of them did fail early, which raised some eyebrows. And one of them was the S95B. We also, I think there was a G1 that failed. Is that right? And an X95K that failed. Let me look through here. So there's a lot of information to pull through. I read a bunch of it already. So yeah, they had an A1 fail, a G1 fail, and an A80J fail. Or is that just the ones that got burned in for the A80J?
Yeah, the text is a little small, but
yeah,
I can see it.
Let me raise it up. Let me go through and find the part. I don't want to say the wrong thing here. Yeah, because they took apart some of the TVs that failed even too. Hisense U7G also failed. Oh goodness. Is that better?
Oh, there we go. Yeah, it's way better. Okay.
Yeah, so the U7G, the X95J, and the LG G2 experienced 3 separate and completely unrelated issues. And a complete failure of the S95B. So a couple of those issues have to do with the way that the products are put together in the first place. So one of the biggest causes of failure with TVs is actually just when it is transported. Sometimes some parts come loose, or in the first place, parts weren't correctly installed, and that could be a problem down the line. So you ever seen a TV with like the green line going down it? It's usually a loose part causing that, or a loose cable causing that, like within the actual TV itself. But yeah. So let's go up to the burn-in part. So where should I start? Like right here, I guess. A90K showing some possible burn-in. That's kind of crazy. Um,
Yeah, yeah, that TV what it just came out last year.
hmm And then the S95B, I know a lot of people were like really, really concerned about that. You gotta keep in mind also these tests though, they're just going to be like stress tests. They're not really indicative of like what happens in real life, unless you're gonna straight up just watch CNN all day. Which again, we don't recommend OLED TVs for that. So
Yeah, if that's the case, then you should be looking at LCD TVs. It's just that's just not the technology for you. If
yeah.
you just constantly just watching the news and just keep it on static screen for days on end. Yeah, I think that's what they doing. They keeping it on like 24 hours a day or whatever the case may be.
All right. Sorry, lost our cameras there for a second. Let's see. Yeah, Sony is having image retention after a couple of weeks. That's crazy. It doesn't really surprise me that much. Um, as I said with the A80J, this is one of the first things I noticed was like this the temporary image retention. Like when I was playing Pokemon Snap, for example, like I showed that example a few times where I would just be on the menu screen for a second, I push start and then you could see the logo just like on the background for a good couple seconds. And that's like, whoa, that's when I first saw it. I was like, dang, that's interesting. And I notice it all the time in other games and stuff. If you just have a character sit there for a while and then you move, that can happen. So I was wondering if that had anything to do with long-term burn-in, if that was going to be any difference there, and maybe it is, you know. So yeah, it's a little bit concerning. I think this kind of goes to show that you really just, if you're going to use your monitor, or an OLED for a monitor, you know, you're gonna maybe run into some issues down the line. So that's one thing that kind of this test can demonstrate. And also, if you're somebody who watches a lot of static logos, channels, and that's all you watch, that could be a problem too. So I do think we need to maybe put that into discussion a little bit more because there are going to be a lot of households that have the news on a lot. No matter what, they can't control it. They're like, maybe their wife watches nothing but CNN, or maybe they watch nothing but like ESPN. I know, like my house used to just have nothing but ESPN running all the time. Like that's just what I grew up with, stuff like that. So I get it when it comes to having static logos. That's just gonna be a problem. And I just wanted to highlight a few things here. We got a super chat from EHJ. He says, "Go Broncos! Happy Friday and weekend." Yeah, thank you, and go Broncos for sure. I'm not wearing the Broncos gear today, but that's always in my heart, of course. And then we got Scott. Thank you for being a member of the YouTube community. He joined the membership that I have here on the channel, and now he has access to all the special emotes. And in the future, we're going to try to do more stuff for the membership because I do want to have something special there for the membership. But right now, it is just support, and everybody that joins it knows that. And I appreciate you guys for joining, despite there being nothing really to gain from it at the moment. But I'm still playing around with some ideas on what to do with that. But yeah, that is much appreciated, Scott. Thank you. Let's see if I'm missing anything. Please call it out. And then of course, you feel free to highlight anything you want, Max, at any time as well if you want to discuss
Yeah,
something.
I'm looking at all the comments. Everybody just talking about the same thing about the logos and stuff. So
Yeah, I mean, like, here's the thing. Uh, is this scary? I guess like you can use it if you want to scare people, and you can tell them like, yeah, burn-in, it's a real thing, it's a real possibility. But the likelihood of this actually happening to most panels, unless you are going to be in this extreme use case where that's what you're doing, then you shouldn't run into an issue with it. But again, it's something that we definitely have to bring up more, because I do think it's not talked about enough. And sometimes we're like, oh yeah, burn-in, whatever. But the fact is that it can happen. And this test shows it. And it's not surprised. I'm not surprised at all by this test. Um, what I am a little bit surprised with is how well the actual like LG branded OLEDs are doing. I'm really surprised at how well those are doing, to be honest with you. Um, so I think like a lot of that has to do with the new WBE panel, but also just the way that they manufacture their TVs and the care that they put into burn-in prevention. It shows. You know, they have a lot of measures in place. So yeah, the G series and the C series holding up really strong in these tests. Then we got
So that
FOMO.
I was about to say I mean, it's a good sign, but these are like the worst case scenarios. So it's like when you have an average
Hmm.
person just watch some casual TV and play games every now and then, watch sports, you're gonna be perfectly fine because you're constantly changing your content. It's not like it's the same thing over and over again, day after day.
Yeah. And then stop the FOMO with the super chat saying, I want your predictions for TV of the year. All right. Well, I mean, honestly, for me, it's a little bit of a cheating kind of thing because I'm just gonna go ahead and say like the A95L. I mean, honestly, I just think that what Sony does with their picture quality is kind of hard to touch when we're just talking about like what's the best looking TV. It's probably going to be the A95L. It's using QD-OLED, which I personally think is the best TV technology right now. And I think that Sony has the best processor still right now. And then if that XR clear image is going to be improving it even more, then yeah, I think that that wouldn't be a far-fetched thing to say. What about you, Max?
Yeah. For me, if we add price to this, then if
Right.
price was no object, then yes, I would say the A95L without a doubt,
Hmm.
because I think Sony is gonna, I mean, potentially may win another award this year. But if it's at a price that a lot of consumers can't reach, then
Yeah,
after
we don't
doing that good,
usually talk about the pricing too much when we're talking
yeah.
about the TV of the year. I don't think.
Oh,
I don't think I consider it because yeah, you're right. If we have to consider that, then I can't really say that's going to be the TV of the year. But hey,
well,
remember it comes with their Bravia cam, so it's got to be the TV of the year.
Well, I would say the 895L. It's the if we just doing TV of the year, no price
Hmm.
in that scenario, then yeah, it's going to be the 895L because I think with their processor and then what Rob was saying in Brian's whisper status it, stream the other day, well, video the other day, it was just like I said, I think that's going to be TV of the year for 2023.
Yeah, yeah, man. And then like I said, Bravia cam, it only helps. It only helps. Um, let's see.
Yeah, we're not
So
going to go
Classy
down
makes a
that
good
rabbit
point
hole.
here. Yeah, yeah. Let's not start that again. And Classy makes a pretty good point here. They fit the 8 months of viewing into a 2 month accelerated usage. Um, and he asked them to start another fresh Sony panels using their comp cycles with varied content. Yeah, I think like that's the point of the stress test though is like it has to be extreme so that they can accelerate the process and see which one is going to fail first. And I think they should do. I don't even want to tell them how to do it. Honestly, I think they do a really great job, and it is hard to even complain because we don't have this kind of information
No.
coming out anywhere else, right? So I just want to give like 100% props to ratings. I think they do such a great job at presenting this information for us, and the fact that we have this at our disposal to pick through and look at, I think that's nothing but just a great tool for people that are looking into buying a TV for any reason. If they're looking for reasons to not get a TV, maybe they're going to find something in their use case that actually fits around these type of things and they won't buy it. Like if I'm just like a natural TV buyer, I would be kind of wary of buying a OLED TV for a monitor, that's just me. But like as a TV reviewer and somebody who's gonna swap out their TVs all the time, like I banked on this C1 maybe lasting like 3 years. Like I'm gonna sell this C1 probably anyway, pretty soon, right? At a discounted rate. Probably sell it to somebody for like $500 if they want it, and that's just I'm fine with that. But like people that are going to buy a monitor for a long term, like they don't want it to buy a new monitor in 3 years, things like that. So, but if you fear burning, you gotta buy LCD. So, and then so far LG has been really good at showing that they know how to control the burn-in issue because they've dealt with it, right? Like they've dealt with so much problems with burn-in over the years. The C7, that's pretty notorious for burning in. And then even before then, it was even worse with some of their other TVs. So yeah, I think that LG is a strong bet if you want to avoid burn-in. You just want a long-term solution. But even if you use an LG, like I can't guarantee you won't have burn-in in like 3 or 4 years if you are using it in a non-traditional way, like a monitor, for example.
Yeah, that's kind of like where I'm coming from because it's like, for me, for my productivity when it comes to work, I know using an OLED is kind of like is a no go for me. Even though I know when it comes to picture is definitely superior to a lot of the LCD TVs and monitors that's out right now, but it's just for me with what I do and how long the logos or even the menu bars that's on there is something that it's just I can't do that and stuff. So, but if it's something that
Hmm.
I'm using for just regular use, that's in like TV content, watch movies, sports, video games, yeah, like I said, I use that all day long. And just to remind people too, I have a Sony A9F. It's a 2018 TV, and that's about to be 5 years old. I have zero burn in on that. I have
Yeah.
no issues, no dead pixels, and like I said, no issues with it. And my kids, they watch nothing but static logo cartoons on YouTube and stuff. So 8 hours a day. So it's just like one of those type of things that you just like no issues. With their test, that's a little bit different.
Yeah. And so the next part of this test isn't about burn-in, it's more so just about failures. And we're looking like at the Hisense U7G example here, and they noticed that they had a burned connector on the U7G, causing the backlight to fail. And you keep in mind, the U7G, that's still pretty new, TV. That's not that long. And LCD TVs typically they're not gonna fail like super fast like that. So if there's a problem with the TV, it's gonna fail quicker than usual. And a lot of it has to do with build quality, how much care is put into the manufacturing process. It only takes one bad move for a TV to go bad. Like, and it looks like this part wasn't correctly installed. So they said that the wiring harness it was either low quality or improperly installed, and over time the bad connection generated heat, which eventually caused the plastic to melt and burn the connector. And they don't know if it's an isolated incident with the specific unit or if this can be indicative of a wider quality issue with these TVs. And I think that was like one of the biggest eyeball raisers for me, or eyebrow raisers for me. And that's because a lot of people harp on Hisense for build quality issues, and longevity potential issues that could arise from that. So keep those things in mind when you're buying a TV that, a brand like Hisense, while they're getting better, they still might have those build quality issues. And that's just because they're smaller. They're probably not putting as much into the TVs. But Sony fails as well, which we're about to talk about too.
Oh yeah, before you do that, just want to say what's up,
Hey,
Brian.
Brian.
Oh yeah, we were just talking about the your interview that you
Yeah,
just posted. So
really
yeah,
good.
really good, really informative. Thanks for doing that. Yeah, check out his video too, because his
Mm-hmm.
his video with Rob, one of the product managers from Sony. for the 2023 Sony TV lineup. It was great content.
Yeah, I think what I'm gonna do every week for the stream is we're gonna do like a community spotlight, and we're gonna just look at all the videos that I think you should check out. Like, and that would be one of them for sure. And the other one would be Classy's video this week about the ABL and the APL. So like how ABL is on every TV, but on OLEDs, like it's going to show a little bit more. On the QD-OLEDs, you're not going to see this issue be such a problem. And the newer QD-OLEDs, we could be seeing LCD levels with APL in mind. So I think that's something, another video everybody should check out. It's a really good learning experience. If you're not familiar with these things, it's a cool video to watch. And of course, we got Max's video this week, which we will talk about. We'll have a whole segment dedicated to that. Don't worry, Max, because that was a really cool side-by-side that you did. And you know me, I love my side-by-side, so we're going to definitely dive into that.
I appreciate
And then,
it.
yeah, FOMO did a video today. It was pretty good, too, about the
Yeah.
OLED TV battle.
Yeah, it's it's a lot of content and stuff. So definitely want to call out the people in the chat who's making these videos. It's great. It's great videos. Everyone should check that out and
Yeah.
subscribe.
For sure. For sure. Yeah, so let's go back to the topic we were talking about here.
You're talking about Sony.
Yeah. And I like this comment that you highlighted from MMA Dan. Like, the TV delivery process is very nerve-wracking, especially when you see those dudes lift it over their heads with like one arm. It's like, whew, like you got just muscular. I don't know where they find these dudes. Like, they're just slinging it above their arm and throwing it on your doorstep. Like, that's your TV delivery. And it's even worse in warehouses, guys. Like, I've worked at a Best Buy before, and I've seen the way some of these warehouses operate. And I've actually worked at a warehouse before, not doing electronics, but they did sell electronics at that warehouse, and we threw around those boxes like it was nothing. So like, imagine that's what's happening to your TVs a lot, and all it takes is one issue to cause something to go wrong with your TV. And people are like, how does DSE happen? Well, a DSE can actually happen like that too. You can actually have panel failures because of stuff like that, loose parts, things like that. So any sort of pressure that you can have put on the TV can cause issues. There's so many things that go wrong with issues with TVs, and people are talking about warranties in the chat, and I just want to like call that out like right now. Like, I am somebody who YOLO'd TV purchases for the longest time, and I would always say, don't get the warranty. The warranty is not worth it. But like lately, after seeing all of the issues that people have been having with modern TVs, I'm just thinking that it might be smart for a lot of people to go with that if they're thinking long term. Now, if you're thinking about swapping your TV out in 2 or 3 years anyway, I wouldn't bother with the warranty. But if you are somebody who's going to use it for that 5-year period, it might be worth it for some people to go that route. So, for example, the Q7 the Q7FN that I had, the model actually failed within the warranty period that I had bought from Best Buy, but I only bought this warranty because I got like a super crazy discount on it. It was like $20 when I worked there. I would have never bought the warranty had I not worked there, but I'm glad I bought the warranty because I basically got the TV replaced in a gift card for nothing, and they let me keep the TV too. So like, that kind of stuff is nice because when failures happen, you're backed up and you don't have to worry about none of that stuff. So yeah, maybe I got to start like recommending people get warranties now, because we're seeing so many failures lately.
Yeah, it happens. It happens all the time. So it is costly initially, but having that peace of mind, that's something to think about. But I mean, it at the same time too, how long do you really keep your TVs? If you're keeping it 5 years, then get the warranty. If you're just keeping it and switching it out every year and selling to someone else or whatever the case may be, don't get a warranty. That's No,
Right.
because you got the manufacturing warranty, which is a year, and in
Yeah.
some cases, like with LG, with your Gallery series, you got 5 years with the burn-in situation.
Hmm.
So those are kind of like the things to think about. If you're keeping your TV every, switching it out every year or every 2 years, that's something that's like, it, I wouldn't get a warranty and stuff
Yeah.
unless you at Best Buy you got the Total Tech and I think it's 2 year warranty. Then that would be worth it and stuff like that. Maybe.
It's yeah, it's not that bad. You don't have to worry about burning like that. It's not like that. I think like one of the biggest misconceptions about burning is that like any sort of static images is going to be a problem. And I know he's joking, but yeah, this is just like one of the things that is the biggest misconception that I definitely want to touch on. It's kind of funny because some people actually take that kind of thing seriously, and I've actually gotten like comments on my videos saying like uh something about my videos is gonna burn in on their TV, and I'm like, nah, you don't gotta worry about that. So yeah, I think the biggest issue is definitely just like repeated content over and over and over again. Also, leaving your TV on all night is not gonna burn your TV in. Don't worry.
No, that happens too.
Yeah,
So
it just happens. I used to get like really nervous about like when I got my first OLED, I was so nervous about burn-in. And it's funny because I actually did experience burn-in, but that was just for a totally different reason. And I didn't hesitate to turn off the TV every time I left the room. Like even if I would go down to get a snack from the kitchen, I would turn off my TV, bro. I would not let it run. So I babied that thing, and I didn't have to, but yeah.
just looking at the comments, yeah. Those are kind of like the worst case scenarios and stuff. So it depends on
Yeah.
if you're buying a TV and keeping it for so many years, then yeah, the warranty is better for you. So this is kind of
Yeah.
like the worst case scenarios that you're seeing on ratings right now.
For sure. And here's another failure here, the X95J. It is though concerning because like they're taking a subset of products and they're experiencing some issues. Like if they do this a number of different times, how many different issues are they going to run into? And that's one of the things that I'm kind of glad ratings exist, because if they keep finding very similar issues across the board with some of these TVs or some failures that are related to the way that the product is built, for example, maybe they found some kind of underlying issue that not a lot of people know about, because it's not like people pull apart these TVs all the time. We don't have anybody like checking these companies on their quality control, which maybe that could be a thing in the future. We'll get more people to go ahead and do that. But like, it's just one of those things that a lot of people don't seem to think about. There's a lot of failures that come with TVs because of the way that the TVs are manufactured. They're cutting corners all the time. Like, I was talking to FOMO about this the other day, and we see it. Like, TVs, they used to be a little bit more expensive and they're starting to be cheaper. And I think one of the reasons for that is because they're just kind of cutting corners now. And even your flagship TV might have the same kind of components that a cheaper TV will have. The only difference is going to be that image processor that's inside of it, like, and little things associated with that. And yeah, LCDs have backlight failures all the time and loss of brightness. We're about to talk about one right now. So like the X95J that they tested here, one of the sides started to fade and has been getting worse as the test continues. And it's really noticeable on slides. So they have a significant portion of the backlight that's starting to fail. And that's similar to another issue that they had with the LG UJ6300 on their original 27 burn-in test. So yeah, I mean, like, LCDs aren't immune to failing either. So it's just one of those things, unfortunately, that we have to deal with.
I like this comment.
Yeah, that's a good comment. It is it is better to have me burned in than CNN. I agree. Let's see. So they have pixel failures on the G2, it looks like. Column of green subpixels failed on the G2. That's interesting.
So I wonder in this case, I wonder if that warranty would take care of it.
Yeah, I would imagine it
Or,
would because it says for the whole panel.
hmm
So yeah, I'd imagine.
but it would be terrible just to go through that um, when you see it, because nobody don't want to go through the whole process again, the panel exchange and so forth. So either
Mm-hmm.
way, it's kind of like, yeah. And if I'm not mistaken, I remember someone in the comments said they purchased a G2 last year and they had an issue with their screen. Um, I think it was the same. It's like the same thing with the vertical line. But I'm like I said, if anybody remembers that, if they could just post it and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But I thought that was kind of interesting. And so they,
So yeah.
okay.
No, I sorry, I didn't know you. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I say if that person is in the chat right now, they could just chime in and stuff. So
Mm-hmm. So I can tell you when I moved my TV from upstairs to downstairs, the A80J, and we had turned it on. After a couple of minutes, it started to exhibit like some green lines, and it started glitching out a little bit. I was scared, man. I was scared to death. I was like, "Oh God, what happened?" And luckily, just resetting the panel, resetting the TV helped, and never ran into that issue ever again. But like, it was scary because I had seen that happen on a TV, and that was a complete failure when that happened. Like, so it's important to note that if you are moving your TV, stuff like that can happen. Um, Fortunately for me, looks like that's not what happened. That might have just been like a weird one-off glitch. But if you're moving around your TVs a lot, or if you're moving, you have to be really careful because the movement of your TVs can cause damage as well, and can cause, like I said, the parts to become loose, which is why we get a lot of lemons in the TV world. We'll still run into that because the way that TVs are handled. So it's bound to happen. You're bound to run into those issues. I think the biggest scary thing is moving a TV though. Like if you have to move your TV, you could run into some issues with it. So that's what Rating says. They think that their problem with the G2 is from moving it. So yeah.
yeah, I'm just looking at the comments. Nobody's not really talking much, but yeah, it doesn't matter which technology you have. And stuff. So,
Yeah.
but I mean, if it's burn in, yeah, it depends on your use case scenario. If you using this as a monitor type per se, and you're really using this for productivity, like work on a daily basis, then yeah, you're prone to may get burned in. And I'm saying may, because depending on how much you switch to content, you're probably not going to be impacted by this.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. So the S95B failure, people wanted to talk about that. So it looks like it was related to the power supply. They weren't getting any voltage to the electronics. So they're going to see if they can repair it before March. If they can't, they're going to buy a replacement for the test. So yeah, I mean, it could be a bad unit, but I'm not going to give anybody the benefit of the doubt on these tests. You shouldn't have bad units. Like, I just think everybody should be held accountable. So definitely hold everyone accountable when it comes to these tests. A couple of things that they also talked about was like the brightness fluctuations. And a lot of it has to do with like receiving firmware, which is like, come on, I'm not surprised by that. Like,
Well, we talked about
unfortunately,
that.
we got like Samsung issues when it comes to firmware, and
I think we talked about that extensively. I mean, but one
Yeah,
thing we haven't talked about last stream is, the local dimming issue with Samsung and stuff. So
sure.
yeah, because I think FOMO had it on his set on the QN90B, and yeah, for some reason his TV, it looked awful and
Mm,
stuff. So I mean, it happened. And then on my Sony X95K, what you see over there, I have my issue too with that blob screen on certain contents and stuff. But
yeah,
yeah, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what company it is. It's like they all mess up.
yeah. But I do think like Samsung definitely does a lot worse with their firmware than anybody else, and I have to call it out when I see it. And
Yep, I will agree with
that's
you on that too, because I have
yeah.
the S95C. You really can't see it because it's dark in the back, but
Hmm.
I still have it offline because people ask me have I updated to the latest firmware. I'm gonna update it next week to see if it's gonna address my whole EARC situation
Yeah.
for gaming. So I'm gonna see that, but I'm still trying to do more videos and do a comparison between the out of the box firmware against the new firmware update. So
Is there
stay
even a
tuned for
new
that.
firmware update?
Some people said that there's new firmware update
Okay.
for the S95C. I haven't downloaded it yet because I have my offline because I
Yeah.
haven't went through the initial setup. I just skipped everything and just went to the screen. But some people said there's a new one. Oh, people said to do it. I will
Hey,
I will do it. So stay
yeah,
tuned
well,
for
it'll
that. But I
happen.
just I just have to make sure I get enough content just to make sure I could do a proper comparison between the before and after. Some people
Yeah.
was asking me I should give me another S95C and have it factory and keep the other one and keep doing firmware updates and compare with each other. But
Yeah.
that's a little bit too much to do.
So we're gonna
I
pull
pr-
up another article here. I think that kind of ends the discussion for the ratings longevity. If you guys have any other questions about it, we can talk about it. But we have some other topics to hit too. Let's see. Let me look that up. If you want to pick through chat a little bit while I pull up this next article.
Yeah, I'm
Oh,
just looking at comments right now.
yeah.
Yeah, SD said there is a firmware 11103 and out of the box is 1100, which I have.
Mm-hmm. All right. So we're gonna pull up this Forbes article from Mr. John Archer. Um, is this it?
I'm trying to get as much. Oh, what's going on?
Oh no, it's
Um,
we gotta.
oh, you talking
I
about?
gotta
Oh,
copy.
that's to be the
I
next
gotta
topic.
copy and paste it. It's because it like opened in a new window.
Yeah. So
Yeah, there we go. I would do it like this. Oh goodness, not that, not that. Okay. Yeah. Get these ads out of here. Stop. Stop.
yes.
Okay.
Well, they gotta pay. That's how they pay their
Yeah, I know. I know.
employees. So is that.
Let's see if I can shrink the ads.
Oh yeah, that's a.
That's not
Yeah,
gonna work.
I'm about to say you giving them free advertisement right now.
Yeah. Get a Roth, guys. Anyway.
You know what's kind of crazy? I'm looking at these chats and everybody's talking about firmware updates. That's like, should I do it? Should I not do it? And is it safe? Is it not safe? Yeah, it's to go back on Samsung when you were just looking at ratings earlier. Samsung, I think you need to do a better job addressing like what is in these firmware updates and if it's even like what is it trying to update and fix and stuff. That's what I really want them to do.
Yeah. That's what I want them to do too. Like, I would love it if they just fixed things and they didn't change it because they needed to. They felt like they should. Like, I don't know exactly how to explain it, but I feel like a lot of the changes that are made in Samsung updates, like, nobody asked for that. Like,
Or
nobody
here's
asked for that.
here's a suggestion. You could get somebody that is a content creator and have them preliminary tests like Classy.
Yeah.
Classy could test the before and after and let people know if it's if there's an issue.
They
So
should have beta test. I kind of think that's what they do though with the
yeah,
website stuff. Like I do think they're like they put it on the website. They don't send it OTA. It's your risk. You take a risk if you
mhm.
download that update. You need to know that. And I think like that's like something they don't come out and say, but it's sort of understood that like everything that you find on the website, that's basically a beta test, and you don't want to download it if you're not somebody who wants to just test it out.
I mean that's just the idea. I just threw that out to
Yeah.
Samsung, Sony, LG, as in, hey, you should have somebody beta test it to let people know if it's good or not.
Yeah. And I do think that like a change log of some sort would be
Oh yeah.
nice. Like even if we said just like even if it just said something really vague like oh adjusted the TV's brightness. Like even if it was so vague like that where it's just like okay, I understand something happened with the brightness. Let me find that out. Like you don't have to give me all the clues. Just give me little bits and pieces. Like that's it. Let us try to figure it out if you want. If that's what you want. Like if you don't want to come out and say like everything you actually changed, then at least give us bits and pieces, man.
Yeah. But yeah, we'll talk about this more
Yeah,
in
let's talk
stream and
about
stuff.
the LG G3 OLED because this is a big deal. This is a really
Yeah.
big deal. So I do think that the LG G3 is going to be perhaps one of the favorites, if not the favorite amongst like most TV buyers this year. And I want to talk about why I believe that. Uh, but like it's things like this that kind of back up that point. And I think it's just that when people talk about brightness and when people talk about like what's going to be the difference maker, overall, like the impressions that people are going to have with the G3, especially when it comes to highlights and stuff, they're not going to be talking about color brightness too much. They're going to just talk about, ooh, those white highlights. And I think G3 is probably going to accelerate there. But not only that, you got LG as a like tried and true name. We already just talked about how they're like burning tests. They're doing really good on those. Um, it's just people are familiar with LG when it comes to OLED, so they associate OLED with LG already. And if you can come close to the QD-OLED, I'm not saying it's gonna beat the QD-OLED. Like I'm not gonna even say it's gonna have better picture quality, right? But what we're saying is that it's going to be a difference maker and it's going to probably be the choice for a lot of buyers this year. And I recognize that. I recognize that because if it comes close to the QD OLED, there might be a reason for a lot of people to grab it over QD OLED. So in regular content, that's what's going to matter the most, right? Like all this fluff and stuff, it's whatever. We're just going to talk about it because it's there. But because I just got to call this article. It's a good article, but a lot of it is fluff. So that's what it's gonna be at the end of the day. You're gonna see a lot of pieces like this where you're going to have closed door conversations and closed door demonstrations like this where you have the G3 being favored. Like it's set up to pretty much give the idea that it's going to be a great TV. Like that's what they designed the whole entire presentation around is the G3 is going to look better than the other TVs. And so like as we pick through this article a little bit, the thing that stuck out to me is like this is a really strong statement to make, like he said the G3's pictures are obviously much brighter, especially when it comes to peak HDR highlights than that of their rivals. The G2 in particular looked like it was running in eco mode in comparison. Like that's a strong statement. Oh, we lost Max. But that is a strong statement. I'm not sure where Max went. He just disappeared. I looked off for a second and he's gone. Hopefully he comes back. But yeah, what do you guys think of this statement? Like that's a pretty strong statement. When you say that G2 looked like it was running in eco mode, that's quite the statement. And from what I would have understood reading up on like the test, the G3 was calibrated, and it was also having the dynamic tone mapping turned off in Filmmaker mode. So it's pretty crazy. Um, can't imagine it's looking like it's in eco mode. I saw it and it's pretty darn bright. It's not calibrated. Okay, maybe I misread that. It was not calibrated, but it's not in dynamic tone mapping on, right? Like, it's not the HDR tone mapping turned on toggle. That's what I understood. All right, we got Max back. We lost him there for a second.
Yeah. Hey.
Hey, Max. What's up?
Yeah,
What?
my power went out.
Oh, okay. Hey, man. That sucks.
Yeah,
That's cool.
so
You
no,
you good?
I'm about to get back on. I just had to let people know. So I'm about to
Oh,
drop
did
off
it come
work.
back on?
Yeah, it just came back on. So
Oh,
just give
okay.
me a minute. I'm about to drop
All
off
right,
again.
cool.
All
All
right.
right. Yeah. Ah, man, I hate when my power goes out. It's like the worst, especially if you're streaming. Um, yeah, I've never actually had that happen during a stream yet, but at least it would stay up, I think, because we are using StreamYard. Supposedly DTM was off, but either way, something was wrong or the content was specifically picked to show the difference in brightness. Yeah, no, I have no doubt about it. Like, the content was specifically picked to show off the G3 strength. There's no doubt about that, right? Like, when we see demonstrations like this, we know it's not going to be fair. So, yeah, I'm not surprised by that. But I just thought like this statement was, it's pretty dramatic. So, yeah. I really appreciate this comment. KG and Max, you guys are peak highlights of my Friday. That's awesome. Thank you. That's really cool to say. Battech highlighting Classy's video about QD-OLED, how they sustained, is spot on, and that's why LG struggles, and probably the G3 will struggle too, but we will see. I suspect the S95C will have better sustained brightness. Yeah, it's going to be something to watch for and something to check out in real content as well to see if that's going to be a difference maker. Sustaining brightness will be really important, especially in video games, because you're going to have a lot of games that, stay in a similar brightness state. In movies, I think it's important as well, but less important than games. And I feel like QD-OLED is designed so well for games. I feel like they are kind of the choice if you're going to be a gamer. So we know that LG is going to be marketing towards gamers, and a lot of people looking at the G3 will be looking for the G3 and for their games. So we'll see if the differences are going to stick out in games, because that's the biggest thing for me when it comes to QD-OLED is games. Like, that's where I saw the clear advantage. In regular content, like for pretty much everything that's not video games, you could say that G2 was looking very similar to the S95B in a lot of scenes last year. So I do think, like, when we're talking about games, you'll see a separation, but in real content, that's where you're going to probably see it be a little bit closer. And that's why I think the use case and everything will matter a lot to TV buyers this year too, whether they get a G3 or S95C or A95L, if that's the choice that they go with. Yeah, really good comment though, Battech. I really liked Classy's video. I'll go back to that comment when Max is back, because I just want to hear his take on that. Yeah, they're just saying a lot of good things about the G3, and based off of what I seen of the G3, I liked what I saw. I didn't see enough content to judge it though. Like, I need one in my house. I need one in my house. I need to put it next to the S95B at least. And hopefully I'll be able to do that later on this month. And then hopefully the S95C and 55 will come shortly after that. But I haven't heard anything about 55 S95C or 65 S95C yet. I'm guessing it'll be later this month. Yeah. Yep. Let's see. Ratings probably left the panel care options on because even with ASBL enabled on mine, it really doesn't dim. I've never actually had a problem with any of my QD-OLEDs when it came to dimming and ASBL, but I don't recognize it as much as I guess everybody else does. And I've tried to watch some of the darker shows, and ASBL is not something that I run into typically. Apparently it was a big problem in the S95B, but I've actually never quite felt like that was a problem for me. And I feel like I watch a lot of dark shows at night too. So I don't know. People must be like really extra sensitive to it or something. Or maybe I'm just like blind. I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't be reviewing TVs. Yeah, it's like I've never noticed a lot of the dimming. Like even on I've seen it on the A80J, but it is like really rare that I notice it, that it takes me out of my gameplay experience, if that makes sense. So I think if you see ASBL, you're not really going to be thrown off by it for the most part, unless you're really looking for it. Like, unless you really go looking for it, I don't think you'll have a big issue with it. 180 people watching right now. Shout out to you guys. That's awesome. Max is coming back. Don't worry. We got to get into his video because his video was great as well. I guess I'll take this time to talk about my experience with the S90C. So, not S90C, sorry. QN90C. We're going to talk about that right now. So while we wait for Max to come back, I can talk and rant about this. I do have this TV right now. And I'm going to do a full review. And I don't, maybe this is a little bit of a spoiler alert on that review. But I do want to like highlight a few things that I really loved about this monitor / TV. And the main thing is kind of the video. If you guys haven't watched it, I put out a video today talking about the HDR differences and how they have the static tone mapping and active tone mapping. I really like those changes. And there's just a lot to love about all the changes that Samsung made to their TVs this year. But what's not to love is the fact that year after year, it doesn't matter like what it is, it just seems like you get a less experience with the 43-inch TV from Samsung. So like, it's not like the old days of Samsung where you're getting a 60 hertz panel or anything like that. Thankfully, they fixed that and you're getting a pretty good 120 hertz panel that's capable of 144 hertz. Actually, the only TV in the lineup that's capable of that is the 43 and 50 inch, which is interesting. But like, I do feel like right now we are having just so many problems with lower sizes. 43 inch is not going to be representing what the QN90C actually is. And so when I do my review, I'm going to be clear on that because it was kind of a mixed bag. I like the black levels. Like it crushed OLED demos. It did a really good job with OLED demos. But like when it came to actual content in video games, I felt like it lacked some contrast. Like it just felt like the contrast wasn't there. I felt like I was missing something. Color's on point though. Like I really think the color is great on this TV. I know there was another reviewer that said they measured like 65% DCI-P3. That can't be right. There's no way that's right. So I would imagine that might be just like an issue, that some kind of bug or something that he ran into when he was testing it. There's no way that it's that, because like the color of this TV was excellent so far. So that's like the positive things about it, is the color, the actual way that the dimming zones perform seem to be on point. I don't see too many issues with blooming. There's blooming, obviously, it's an LCD TV, but it's not something that would totally bother me. It's more so the contrast, and overall, like out of the box, there was way too much like raised gamma. Like I had to pull down the gamma in like every mode. So that was a problem that I ran into. And apparently that's a big problem with the 43 and 50 inch size, because it lacks the wide angle viewing. So they tune it a little bit differently. So that was one of the problems that I ran into with that. I will say that I could get away with it as a monitor, but if you shift your head a little bit to the left or right, that lack of wide angle viewing will stick out, and things will wash out, and it'll be something that you really notice. So the plan where I wanted to have one on the left and one on the right, I was going to have the C3 on the left and I was going to have the QN90C on the right, and that was going to be my desk setup. That dream is dead. So because the viewing angles won't make that a possibility, unfortunately. So I think my new dream is probably going to be like a 49-inch super ultra wide. What do they call it? The 32:9 QD-OLED that's going to be coming out later on this year. That's kind of my new dream, I think, for a display for the desk. Well, we'll see. I might be getting ahead of myself on that one. But Max, welcome back.
Yeah, sorry about that, guys. Yeah, the power went out, not just once, but twice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's rough. Yeah,
Yeah.
if you got to deal with some issues or something, just let me know. I'm not even gonna sweat it. Whoa, what's going on here? I don't.
no, everything is good now and stuff. So I know I missed some of the discussion with G2, G3 and stuff, and I'm looking at the
Yeah.
comments already.
We'll talk about it. So I was talking about this kind of quote that John Archer said about it making the G2 look like it was in eco mode. And I just thought that was like one of the biggest takeaways for me from this article, is how he was saying the G3 kind of crushed everything that they saw it against. And, you know, I feel like that might be like too good to be true type of situation. Like, there's definitely some sort of behind the scenes things going on there,
Yeah.
right? Like,
I don't
and
know.
I like
We-
John
we
Archer.
gotta-
I like John
yeah.
Archer, and I'm not saying anything negative about John Archer. I like
Yeah.
John Archer. You know, I think he does really great work. The only thing I would be criticizing from this article is just how LG had it set up. That's it. Like John
Yeah,
Archer
that's-
himself
that's
is
my
awesome,
question.
and I thank you, John Archer, for always providing like really cool content. So, and really good articles to read.
Yeah, that's kind of like my question. Like, were certain settings turned off on other TVs compared to other? I mean, it's so many. It's very challenging to have to know what type of setup that they have, because it's kind of like they'll give you like, here's all of our TVs and here's the G3 compared to all the competitors, but if they don't have their hands on as and seeing what is up with the settings, it's kind of like, it's one of those type of things that you go like, until you actually
Mhm.
see it in person.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, you're right, Bat Tech. You can't really trust any test set up by a TV maker.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I'd be more willing to test something made by the display maker than a TV maker. But even both, I guess, like you should definitely take it with a grain of salt. I believe this is set up by LG Electronics, right? Like, so
But
yeah.
I would say if it's true, I'm more than happy. Happy that that LG is able to do this and stuff. So that will make me really excited. But at
Yeah.
the same time too, you gotta take it for a grain of salt until you get to TV.
Yeah, and another thing from this article that I guess we can bring up that I forgot to touch on is the off-axis viewing, the pink tint. that's been a problem with the G2 and the G1 and every OLED TV. Let's just say every OLED TV for the last couple of years, honestly, has some sort of off angle tint going on, whether that's a pink tint or a different color. That's always been an issue. So hopefully that is going to be addressed this year. Not so much a big problem, but remember it is still using the same kind of panel. We'll just see if there's going to be made any improvements to it.
And now I'm kind of hesitant too, because it's like where they took this picture, you're still not as angled on the G3 because it's like you're doing it from you're doing it from one view, so it's kind of it's challenging. I like I said, either way, if he's saying that they addressed it, then hopefully that's good news and stuff. So I'm not going to nitpick and stuff like that because there's so many things that I do on my videos that people will say, well, why you didn't do this and do that? So it could go either way.
Yeah, and it's funny. LG actually used the ratings example in their presentation that they're like really good with burn-in. They took that to heart. They're like, yeah, we're gonna use that.
Well, I'll say this because Samsung did the same thing too. Because Samsung started it, and then LG, especially when they caught wind about ratings, tests and stuff like that. LG definitely had to throw some salt into the wounds.
Mm-hmm.
But who's to say that Samsung may turn around and say, hey, you know what? Just because you guys everyone is concerned about burn-in, we'll throw in 5 years or 10 years. I don't know. They could do that and stuff. So throw in the warranty.
I just think when you say things like this, though, like the G3 left its rivals in the dust. The A95K, which was deemed the TV of the year by many different outlets, and the S95B, which was the same technology as the A95K, and then the G2. Like, you leave that in the dust, that's a strong statement as well. So
that's pretty,
it's crazy
bold
to think about that, because if the G3 is actually going to perform up to, like, let's just say all this hype is true. Let's just say all this hype is true. Let's hypothetically say that, right? The G3 is a serious contender. Like, that is scary to think about. So I'm really excited. This article, honestly, I'm not somebody who loves to read into stuff like this, but I am also like, I'm a victim of this stuff sometimes too. I do like to think about it as, what if this is true? And I build up hype for myself to get let down sometimes. But I think it's fun to discuss that the G3, like, what if it is this good? What if it is?
I hope it is and stuff. This is just telling me that when it comes to competition between rival TV manufacturers, it's just now just thinking about. I know it's 2023 is still an early year, but I'm just thinking about what about 2024? I wonder what Samsung is going to pull out and stuff. So it's just stuff like this. It's exciting to hear and stuff. So we'll see. Hopefully LG is able to pull this off, and then we could just go from there and stuff.
Yeah, so I'm hoping. This is just a personal thing. I hope that LG G3, like the SDR game mode, I hope it's bright. I hope it's something that I can say, yeah, I can recommend this for SDR gaming, because I still just can't recommend an LG OLED TV for SDR gamers. I just can't, like, unless you're fine with the reference accuracy look, and that's what and you love, and you can be used to that kind of brightness levels, then okay, then you might like it. But like for casual gamers, or even hardcore gamers that like to have that picture pop, that wow factor when it comes to their TVs, LG just doesn't bring it with their SDR game mode. They just don't. So it was a little bit better on the G2, but I'm hoping the G3 does something there. Maybe even lets us control the peak brightness, because that would be nice. Especially if we're using MLA to increase a lot of their color and stuff. They should allow us to crank up the brightness. That'd be nice.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm excited. I mean, if LG is really claiming what they really claiming, then we'll see and stuff. And and then there's be a whole different discussion as in like, okay, what's the possibilities for going forward? What's going to be for what is Samsung going to do? So those are kind of like the things to talk about and stuff. But we'll see.
Yeah. Cool. So, any more on the G3 that you want to think of talking about, or should we move on?
Um, no, well, I kind of missed a lot of it so far, but
I didn't really talk about that much when you were gone. I
yeah,
moved on to the Q at 90C for a little bit
I
and
think
ranted
there's been
about that.
well, I think there's been also discussions too about. I mean, I like I said, when it comes to nits, as in some of the forums and stuff, people people say certain things. So when it comes to the S95C and the A95L and then the G3, we'll see how they compare with each other. When it comes to brightness, I think that's a lot of people consider that as important for
Mm,
some people because that's the first thing that kind of catches their eye. I mean, of course, there's a lot of other factors when it comes to motion processor, you know, detail, depth. I mean, there's so many other things that goes into it, but the first thing that catches people eye is how bright the TV is and stuff. So it's going to be interesting to see.
Yep. And Batek makes a really, really good point. He says, but Samsung can just say, if you're really scared of burn-in, we have QLEDs for you. And that's something that LG can't really say unless they're going to bring back their QNEDs, which I heard they might. And then somebody also said, they probably won't. What's the real answer? I think they will, right? Like, is that what I'm hearing correctly? Or is this a rumor that is not true or has not been confirmed and I should shut my mouth? But either way, I think like just having that in their back pocket to recommend to people is great. They can always do that. And we'll talk
Yeah.
about Samsung and how they can have this dominance of LCD TVs because really
Yeah,
they are the only flagship this year. Like
yeah,
they're it.
they could easily do that. I mean,
Yeah.
But Samsung been doing this for so many years. They even do this against Apple. They you remember the commercials that they always do with Apple, especially when it comes to, the notch and stuff. So
Yeah.
it's like Samsung does this all the time. So for LG is just this is payback for them for Samsung talking about LG and the burn-in situation. So hey,
Hmm.
you know what? Yeah, so I think it's the same thing too when it comes to brightness. I think LG say, hey, you know what, we're competing as well and stuff. So wait
Yep.
till our TV come out.
And I'm gonna say I think I'm the most excited about the G3 than any other TV right now. Like because I know exactly what to expect from QD-OLED 2.0. I've gotten really good hands-on time with it. I've seen it. I understand the differences, right? Like I feel like I spent more time with QD-OLED 2.0 and seen it more than I saw like with the G3. Like the G3, I was only in that room for a little bit. We saw it. It was the same three demos running over and over. So it's like not as much hands-on time, though. And I've experienced what QD-OLED can do. I saw the improvements to QD-OLED 2.0. So I know what to expect there. LG on the other hand, they haven't really made that leap yet. And so it's kind of exciting to see what LG is going to do with the G3. And so I think I'm most excited to see the G3 than any other TV this year for that reason. Because
I mean,
they have to have a good showing. They have to. Like, they have to. If they
yeah,
don't, and it falls kind of flat next to a QD OLED, which I don't think it will, but let's say it did, then that would be a problem for them.
yeah. I was just gonna add to it. It's like they have to show out for this year because if they don't, then Samsung already cutting into their margin or cutting into their sales already with the LG um, OLED TV. So LG noticed it and they trying to address it. So I'm really hoping that the G3 lives up to the hype. We'll see and stuff. But that's going to be the biggest question mark is what is this G3 going to do?
Yeah, Batek, you're right. And then I agree with that, Max. You pretty much hit it on the nail. Like this could be a turning point for LG. It could, but it also could be like, all right, you talked a lot of smack, LG. Like you talked a lot of trash, and you can't back it up with the actual content. That's gonna be a problem because we're gonna put it through the races. Like we're gonna game with it next to a QD-OLED, which we know QD-OLED in gaming is just, it's so good. Like, it's so good. So, if the G3 can come close to that, then I think LG has something. Then they have something. I don't
If
even
they
think it needs to beat the S95C. Like you're saying, bad tech. I don't even think it needs to beat the
No, it doesn't.
S95C. I think it just needs to come close.
Yeah, if it comes close, then that's a win for LG. If it staggers like you see a dramatic difference when it comes to picture quality between side by side,
Hmm.
then yeah, that's gonna be a L for LG. But if it's close, I mean, yeah, that's a win. That's a win. It could be a 10%, 20%. Well, I want to say 20%, but I say it could be like a 10% difference, and people really wouldn't notice the difference and stuff. So,
Yeah.
but we'll see.
Yeah, and I'm gonna compare it to the S95B day one. Like that'll be not. I'm not saying the video will be out day one. I'm just saying like as soon as I get out of the box, I'm gonna put it next to there so I can see it for myself. That's a really selfish thing to say, but I just want to see it. But I will have that video for you. You don't have to worry about that. And then also when I can get my hands on an S95C, hopefully in that same time period, then we'll put it up against the G3 as well. So I'm gonna compare it to both. I will compare it to both, and the hope is to do all three at the same time. That would be really cool just to see the leap from year to year. Because I like what Samsung Display did at the showcase that I saw, where you saw the last year's and you saw this year's, and then you also saw G2 next to it. I'd love to do that with the G3 included, and of course, not game it. I'm not saying that they gamed it at LG Display, but you never know or at the Samsung Display thing, but you never know like what goes into it, if it's like missing certain features, if it's just being pushed because it can be pushed, things like that. So yeah, I would love to try that out. So G3 S95B will be one of the first things I make happen, and the S95C I suspect will be shortly after that, because we don't know when the other sizes of the S95C are coming out. Hopefully next week. I just want it.
Yeah.
Like I just want it. I want a TV. I want a TV
Yeah.
that's not this 43-inch QN90C. Like I got this just to like hold me over. Honestly, I'm ready. I'm
Yeah.
ready. I'm ready to review TVs, man.
Yeah, yeah. I'm wishing. I'm hoping LG, because yeah, I'm gonna pick up the G3 as well. So I'm gonna do the comparison as well. Let's see what happens. So I think that's gonna. Yeah, I'm just seeing this. What's interesting about this is that we're not even talking about Sony right now, because we already know what to
Yeah.
expect from them.
Right.
We're really more concerned about what is LG going to do against Samsung, and that's the part where I find it kind of really interesting, because those are kind of like the similar price points, and that's what people are really looking at, which technology is going to be better, and and
Yeah.
the average consumer is not going to really care. They're going to think of it, oh, it's just OLED and stuff, but they want to see which which is better when it comes to brightness and stuff. So
Yeah, I mean, it's because we're not talking about Sony, because it's not really about Samsung electronics right now. It's more about Samsung Display versus LG Display. It's all about Samsung Display's QD-OLED technology versus LG's Meta, whatever they want to call it. Meta. I think they're calling it Meta technology, but MLA.
Yeah.
So that's what we want to see. Who's gonna, win that battle? And I don't think it's a far thing to say. It's probably going to be QD-OLED. Like if I'm betting, that's what I'm betting on. But I would love to be wrong and to see like MLA really be punching. Like if MLA can do something for that panel, cool. But we'll have to see.
yeah, we're gonna have to see about that and stuff. I'm just looking at the comments. A lot of people are talking about this.
Yeah, we're
So
gonna
we'll
open it
see.
up to questions here soon too. And there is a couple things I want to talk about first before we do so.
Yeah,
Let me think.
yeah, go
So,
for it.
yeah, there's two. So let's go back to the QN90C now real quick, because I did want to talk about that a little bit.
Oh yeah, I did hear some of that before when my power was out. He was
Yeah.
talking about the QN90C.
Because there was something I was going to get to before ranting about the 43-inch. The dimming zones. So the 43-inch has the same amount of dimming zones as the 2022 model QN90B, and the 55-inch has the same amount of dimming zones as the QN90B 55-inch as well. So just based off of that, can we expect the same amount of dimming zones for every size? Most likely. It looks like you're most likely going to get the same amount of dimming zones across the board. So that's something to put out there, because the QN95C should have more dimming zones. It will have more dimming. So I shouldn't even say should have. It will have more dimming zones. The amount is not really clear. I heard some models are going to be double the amounts of dimming zones. We're going to have to find out. And will that make a huge difference? And are we now looking at the QN95C as the one to get if you're looking in the LCD market, if you want that premium flagship 4K LCD? And if we're talking about this, the QN95C is probably going to be one of the best sellers this year, because there is no competing model from Sony except for in the 85-inch size. Right? Because I don't think anybody's going to look at the 93L and be like, I think that'll probably beat the 95C.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm just thinking about this whole zone situation. Nobody doesn't really know the answer. I know a lot of people are saying more zones is better, but I'm wondering if they got to a certain point where they could put as much zones as possibly can, but also within each zone, how many lights
Right.
are they putting in that zone? Is it more or is it the same? That's what I'm kind of curious about.
Yeah, I would imagine like if they're just doubling the amount of the zones, and the whole like technology itself is going to remain the same, the way the zones are laid out and how many lights are inside of it. I think that's more or less the same, and you're going to see the whole entire lineup get better because of these reasons. Yes, you can have better control of dimming zones. That's what matters most than the amount of dimming zones, right? But if you have more dimming zones and you can control it better, that's always a good thing.
Yeah, so yeah, I'm kind of interested in the QN90C, the bigger version, but I'm really curious about the QN95C.
Yeah.
Because you talked about it as in when you went to CES, they said, "Oh, it's going to be the same."
Yeah.
and now it kind of switched, and now they're saying that no, it's going to be different. And it seems like some initial reports said the QN95C is going to be an interesting TV for this year.
Yeah, and I have the prices for the QN95C, but we don't have release dates yet.
Oh, I'm kind of shocked about that, because now I think QN900C is already starting to come out now. And
Yeah.
I'm kind of shocked that well, it seemed like all their TV lineups are starting to come out now. I'm
Right.
kind of wondering why the QN95C didn't come out yet.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It launched a little bit later last year too. It's typically an April release. So here's the prices for the 65-inch. Now there's not going to be a 55-inch this year. So last year there was a 55-inch. This year there's not a 55-inch. It's only going to be 65, 75, and 85. So that's something that you got to take into consideration too. So if you're buying a 55, your only choice is going to be the S90C. So that's why the S90C is still a really important TV, because some people can't go above 55. But people going above 55, I think if you have the money and you still want to just get like the best flagship 4K TV you can get, like, and you're stuck on LCD, like you don't want an OLED, then the 95C is going to be really important for people too. So Let's see how it kind of compares. So the 65 is 2800 for the QN90C, and then the 65 here is 3299. So yeah, that's about the difference that I would expect. There is a $500 difference. Is that what it is? Yeah.
Yeah.
And then keep
500.
in mind this year the QN95C doesn't have the One Connect box, which I thought was kind of weird. I thought it was kind of weird to take out the One Connect box on something called the 95C when you got the S95C now having the One Connect box. There's like no continuity there, and it's kind of confusing how people are going to get the QN95C, expect the One Connect box because it was there last year, and now it's not. So it's like, I don't get that decision. I feel like that was a weird decision from Samsung Electronics to do that.
Yeah, that was odd because it's like the 95. It seemed like the 95 always had a One Connect box, except for the exception of the S95B, because that was the first time they came out with their QD-OLED technology. But every 95 had a One Connect box, like the 90B, QN90B, QN95B had a One Connect box, but then
Right.
they didn't do it for this year, which is kind of odd. But now the S95C has the One Connect box, and then the 800 and the 900 had the One Connect box, which is kind of weird.
Very weird. I think like you're looking at not enough One Connect boxes. I mean, maybe you got to consider that they use it for their 8Ks as well. So that could be maybe an issue that they run into, and they just wanted to give it to the S95C because that's their flagship. Like that's what that's what they're looking at this year is their flagship wall TV. And I've heard that statement thrown around a lot, the wall TV, and they wanted to compete with LG in that department. And I think that's one of the things to think about too is like when you're talking about a TV that you're going to wall mount, LG kind of gets the upper hand, right? Because they have the wall mount included. But I kind of also just say QN90, the S95C is better to wall mount because you have the One Connect box, and people that don't want to go through the wall, that One Connect box is going to make the wire management so much easier. So
Yeah, you don't have
if
to
I'm
get
mounting a
moved.
TV, I'm getting the S95C, and it's not even close unless I want to do construction work. Then maybe
Yeah.
we'll have a discussion about that. But that also brings me into another thing, like a discussion about the S95C and the A95L, right? Is the A95L even like more premium of a TV than the S95C now? Because like you have this feature where you can have it on the wall and have it One Connect box,
I don't
and
know.
the A95L doesn't have that. And also they downgraded the look of the stand, in my opinion. Like it doesn't look premium anymore. It's just a stand. So where's the selling point to that?
I think the only thing that the A95L have against the Samsung S95C is you are able to use the A95L as the center speaker, and it does have speaker terminals in the back of it where you could plug it up, and
You
you
can
could
kind of
have
do that
that.
with this though.
Yeah, to a certain
Symphony,
extent.
Q Symphony.
But if you I'm thinking about more of a receiver or AV receiver
Right.
perspective, because some people do. Well, I'm one of those people. On the A9 app, I use that as a center speaker,
Right.
just because there's a whole discussion with my wife, so I'm not going to get down that rabbit hole. But it's a lot cleaner process just to have that connected and use that as a center speaker. So I think that's a really good feature with that. But also too, this is where I'm going to the home theater perspective. On Sony new receivers, they have options to use that as a center speaker, and you could use another center speaker as well too. So you can have two center speakers for upper and lower, which is that's going to be interesting on its own how that's going to work. So it's kind of like the Q Symphony situation where you
Yeah.
use it a sound bar, and you could have the upper and lower um, perspective. But Sony is taking it a step further by also implementing it in the home theater space.
Yeah.
And so so that could be a benefit. I mean, that's one scenario and stuff. But going back to the aesthetics and the look of it, yeah, I think the S95C does look better than the 895L.
Yeah. I've actually gotten a
Oh,
lot of comments like this from MMA Dan, where he's talking about like the A95K stand compared to the new one. You know, it's more convenient for more people, but it's lost the premium look. And I agree. I've seen this a lot. People are complaining about the stand. Like they're like, I might buy the A95K because of the stand. It's like that's crazy. You know, people don't think too much about aesthetic and the way that looks, but you put this baby in a living room, that A95K is gonna look beautiful. Like if it's on a stand, like it just looks like it's shooting out of your like console. It's so cool.
hmm yeah,
And you're not gonna have that now. You're gonna just have this bent. You're gonna be like, who bent your stand? Like, like I don't even know. It's just not
yeah.
a premium look. And I thought you were gonna say for a second when you're saying there's one thing that the A95L has over the S95C, and I thought you were gonna say the Bravia cam. You missed the opportunity.
Oh no, I took that out. I'm never going to mention that. That's an added feature. That's
Yeah.
no, that's we're gonna be talking about this for another hour. No,
Nah, nah, that I just
no.
wanted to throw it in there. Can't forget about it.
But that's the only thing that I think for me personally, because like the A95L, um, I really want to see that TV just because of I could use that TV as a center speaker in the living room, in a living room situation, because how I have my living room set up, I have my speaker wires coming from the wall, and I could just easily disconnect it to the A95 L, and I could use that as my center speaker. And some people are saying like, why don't you just put another speaker? Look, when you have a significant other and we're trying to discuss when it comes to aesthetic looks,
Hmm.
some significant others don't want that. So I'll
Right.
leave it at that. So that's
No,
my
that makes sense. That makes perfect sense.
so those are kind of like the certain things that, sometimes you have to choose your battles when it comes to that.
Yeah, and SD, that's definitely not true. QN90C is the QN90B's replacement. So QN85B is still going to be great as last year's. Sorry, QN85C is still going to be just as great as last year's QN85B, and the QN90C is going to be just as great as the QN90B, if not better, by the improvements that they made. So yeah, I'm not even sure where that rumor came from, but that's definitely false. The QN95C is just its own model. It's meant to stand out as the flagship 4K this year because last year it wasn't clear that the QN95B was better than the QN90B. Like in fact, the only real difference was that it had a better processor. That's it. And now they all have the same processor. But it's clear this year that the QN95C has more brightness and it has more dimming zones. So, yep. And then Terrence Green, thank you for the super chat. He says no MLA for the 83-inch G3 and up. It seems like LG is withholding that small detail. It's a lawsuit waiting to happen. Some will buy and realize it looks like their G2. Yeah, Terrence, I think that's such a great point. There's not enough clarity in the marketing for the 83-inch size of the G3. Like, there's little fine print things that if you look on the website, you can see it. But you're right. Like, if you're just an average dude at a Best Buy buying a TV and somebody tells you that the MLA is the new thing in the G3, and then you're like, okay, well, let's get it 83-inch size. And nobody tells you that the G3 83-inch doesn't have this new technology behind it, then you're going to be like, okay. And when I say new technology, I mean new technology for the OLED panel, not that MLA is new or anything. But like the fact that you're not going to get MLA in your 83-inch G3, but you didn't know that, I think there's going to be a lot of problems with that.
Oh yeah,
You
that's a
know,
huge
people are
issue.
going to hear that MLA gets the improvement for the G3, but there's not enough marketing. I think maybe they should have just called it a different model, man. Like honestly, like
They need to call it with a different model because
yeah,
because people are going to get really upset when they find out that the 55, 65, and 77 inch is brighter than my 83 inch, which I'm paying the premium for on my G3. and stuff.
Yeah.
People are going to get really. I mean, but at the same time too, I think LG is kind of not saying it just because not a lot of consumers are saying it out loud, so they're not obligated to do that. But they should put some type of description like no MLA or whatever the marketing they need to put on the G3, on the
Yeah.
83 inch.
No, and I get it, and I don't think it's grounds for a lawsuit or anything like that.
Oh no, I'm not saying
I
that
just
either.
think, yeah, no, yeah. I was I was just thinking that it definitely isn't. It isn't great. It's not. It's not great marketing. It's not. It's unfortunate. It
Yeah,
hurts the consumer. I think. I'm not saying like LG did it intentionally. I'm just saying I wish they were a little bit more clear on it because
and
It'll hurt some consumers.
but then here's my question. I'm just thinking about that. So since the 83 inch version is not going to have the MLA, but it is going to have the panel from last year. I think that's what it was.
Yes.
I'm wondering about the Sony A80L because now it's going to be coming in the 83 inch.
Right.
Would that be its competitor, or would it
No,
still be the
because
C3?
yeah, no, because the big improvement you're going to see this year with the G3 and in the C3 is going to be there is an increase in like perceived brightness is what they're calling it, and it's going to make the TV look brighter to your eyes. They've done some tweaks in regards to the processing so that it gives you that effect. I think like what I was hearing, if they're measuring it, it's not any difference in brightness, but that's going to be a clear separator in their TVs this year. So like if you put a C3 next to a C2, you should be able to tell that the C3 is a C3 and not a C2, from what I understood. And so I would imagine the same thing is the case with the 83-inch G3 versus the 83-inch G2. They're both going to get this new processing technology. So that's good. As far as the A80L goes, they said it's 10% brighter than last year, which I don't really know how you read into that because there was a lot of people who talked about the A80K not being as good as the A80J. And then I heard some reviews that say the A80K was good and is better than the A80J, but it was clear that the brightness wasn't as much as the A80J. So are we just talking about going back to the brightness? And when I'm talking about reviews, I trust when I think about reviews, I talk about reviewers that I trust more so than anything, and not just only trust, but people that I know I can talk to about the issues and have a conversation with. Like, so Classy, for example, I know he did the A80K, and I take a lot of what his review, I take a lot of that to like fact because I know he knows what he's doing, and he saw the difference between the A80K and the A80J, and I think that favored the A80J from the discussions that I had with him. So, and it sounds like from all indications talking to Classy that we're pretty much going to see the A80L be what the A80J was. So that's what I'm thinking is the case for that.
So I'm just thinking now, before we get into the super chat,
Yeah.
would the A80L be brighter than the A90J 83 inch version?
Yeah, we talked about that on we talked about that like 2 or 3 weeks ago, but we actually got some kind of clarification on that from Rob during the Sony interview with
Yeah.
Brian, and it sounds like they feel like they don't need a heatsink. I really didn't quite get that part
Understand. Yeah, I
because
get that part. Yeah.
I didn't really quite get that part because I feel like every OLED TV like that can benefit from a heatsink, right? Like it just doesn't make sense. So
Yeah, I think they were just trying to hit a certain
yeah,
number, and they feel that for them to, I want to say cost cutting, but I'm thinking so they don't have to charge a premium for it. I think that's probably why
right.
they didn't put a heatsink because if they do if they do add a heatsink, then that will translate, that will go to the consumer as in pricing wise, and I think
Yeah,
that's what Sony didn't want to do.
and I think what the takeaway was from that was they're saying the newer panels might not benefit as much from a heatsink, right? So the WBE panels and stuff. I don't know.
Yeah,
I don't want to read too much into that part,
yeah. I
but
think we're reading.
but I think that when you're talking about the A90J and the A80J, like I think the main point of them downplaying the heatsink is because the A80L doesn't have it, right? So that's why they probably downplayed the heatsink. It just
Yeah.
doesn't. They don't have it, right? So I'm not gonna read too much into that, other than it's probably more so from a marketing standpoint, the way that they talk about it.
Classy saying the A80L would not beat the A90J. So
Right. I don't expect it to.
yeah, I don't know. I'm just wondering and stuff.
Yeah.
So
And then Dylan, thank you for the super chat. He says, will be interesting if how close the 83 and C3 and G3 will be this year. Maybe closer than the C2 and G2 were. Shame they didn't lower the price on the G3 at all. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think there will be much more difference than last year. I feel like the G3 will probably separate from the C3 just enough. I didn't think like there was a reason to get a G2 over a C2 last year for most people. Like I thought in the majority of content that I watched, I would be fine with a C2. Like nothing really separated. There was a couple of times where you could notice white highlights were brighter, things like that. So that's why I'm really happy to hear that G3 is a thing and they're gonna use MLA to push it, because I didn't feel like there was enough separation from the G2 to the C2 last year. It's better though. Like if you can find it at a similar price point, you get the G2 over the C2, right? Like the value proposition is there, especially if you're talking about a mount, if you're talking about 5-year warranty, things like that. It's all peace of mind that factors into that. And I like, for example, if people are buying a TV right now looking at a C2 or a G2, I'm gonna tell them to go to the G2 because it's a really good value right now. Like I think you can get 65-inch for $2,000. That's a pretty good deal.
yeah.
And then the 55-inch is $1,699. So you just kind of factor these things in and decide what you really need. But I don't think it's gonna be. There's not gonna be anything that the 83-inch C3 has that the G3 won't. So yeah. And the G3 is still going to be better because it has the heatsink, so it can be pushed more. And those type of OLED TVs can benefit more from a heatsink.
Yeah, because I'm just thinking about this comment, and yeah, I think the heatsink does make a difference. It's just Sony just saying what they, you know, want to say, when it comes to that stuff. So, but we'll see and stuff. But I think the A80J will be more the budget friendly as people really trying to get into the OLED technology, just like the
Yeah.
C3.
Highlight, there's 2 cords in the box, so no worries on that. Like it's not just that short cord. There is going to be 2 cords in the box. You have a long cord and a short cord.
Yeah, so and I think the purpose of that is with the short cord is that some people don't want to wall mount it, and so they
Yeah.
want to keep it on the stand. So the short cord is perfect for that situation. But if you do want to wall mount it, you do have the longer cord. And I don't know what the specific length is. I have to take a look at it again. So
Yeah, it's
I
pretty long
don't
though,
want
right?
to.
Like
Yeah, it's pretty long. I just don't know the actual length of it and stuff. So I have to look that up.
not sponsored, but have you ever seen this? This is the weirdest thing. I don't know how to describe the taste. It's like the Dream Coke. This isn't a new sponsor, guys. Don't worry. I'm not sponsored by Coke, though. I would take that sponsorship. Coke, hit me up.
I haven't tried that though. But,
Yeah, and there's Peeps Coke too. I don't know how that would taste, but
yeah, my daughter was talking about that. I was like, nah, I'm okay. I'm okay. I mean, 'cause she never had Peeps
Yeah.
before, but once you have a Peep, I'm like,
Yeah,
You
right.
always remember it, and you have to have a specific taste for that.
It's a unique taste for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely is. It's an acquired taste for peeps.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, that's the discussion that I had there, and then we got another thing. Since we talked about the QN95C differences, let's talk about the S95C and the X95K. Your comparison, Max. I'm gonna pull it up. I'm gonna pull it
Boom.
up. You
Oh,
tell
you
me
gonna
where I
pull
could
it up?
go if you want me
You
to
could go
go into a
anywhere.
certain
You
part.
could, you could
Yeah.
go. You could go anywhere. I will say this, and this I'm trying to be as honest as when it comes to this comparison. I like I say, I try to show the settings as best I possibly can, but the S95C for below is competing with the mini LED for 2022. Well, the X95K specifically. I can't speak to the other Samsung TVs, but
Mm-hmm.
it's close. And for the S95C to get this close is yeah, it definitely blew me away. I thought it was going to be a 9-day difference when it comes to the brightness of
Yeah.
the Samsung and the X95K, just simply because OLED in the past has never reached that type of brightness. Only when it comes to like specular highlights and when it comes to short spurts. But when I was doing this comparison uh, last week, and I was trying to put up the video together, I had to keep going back to my settings. I was like, okay, this is my default settings on the Sony. This is my default settings on the Samsung. Am I missing anything? I said, why are they so close to each other? And then like right when you start toggling between the tone mapping on the S95C, and I was doing like brightness preferred on the Sony X95K. I mean, there's a lot of other things I could do on the X95K to really bring out a lot more brightness. But when you do that, then there's going to be some negative effect when it comes to the picture look washed out and so forth. So I didn't want to go down that rabbit hole. I just had to do a couple setting tweaks and stuff just to show people. But
Yeah.
overall, the S95C, if you're looking at it purely for brightness standpoint, it competes. And people will be very satisfied with that TV if that's what they're looking for. When it comes to
Mm-hmm.
detail wise and colors and processing, I still say that Sony is better when it comes to the detail wise, but Samsung has done a great job. If you don't have these TVs side by side, then you can't go wrong with either or and stuff. That's just what my takeaway from this is.
Yeah, I think my biggest takeaway was you kind of like hit on a lot of the same points that I hit on last year when I was talking about the QN90B versus the S95B. And it's the fact that they're almost there with the brightness in a lot of scenes. You know, the fact that they are almost hitting LCD brightness in a lot of scenes, that is what kind of got me with QD-OLED last year. Is because the first time I got the S95B, you have to remember I had the QN90B, the LG C2, and the A80J all set up in the same room. And then I got the S95B and I put it in that same position with all four TVs surrounding it. And I put on some of the same content, and just the separation in a lot of scenes from the S95B just blew me away. And I was like, hold on. In this scene, it's almost as bright as the QN90B, has just as much contrast, all the other OLED TVs. What what am I missing here? Like, why wouldn't you want a QD OLED? Is like, and I'm looking at this picture here, and when I was watching the video, it's like, man, that contrast just stands out even on video. Like that
Yeah,
difference, it just stands out, and you can see the difference between LCD and OLED right there.
I think it comes down. Well, this is 2022 X95K, so I don't know what they're gonna
Oh
do for
well, hold up,
2020.
hold up. You gotta also say this is the 2023 Sony X93L.
Yeah,
You can
yeah.
actually say
Okay,
that. You
I
can
can say
actually
that.
put that in parentheses on this
Yeah,
video, and you
yeah,
can get
you can
away
say
with it.
that. Yeah, you
Hmm.
can say that. But I think it comes down to this point. If people are really scared about burn-in potential and so forth, and ABL and whatever the use case scenario, then yeah, the mini LED or LCD route would be better.
Hmm.
But if people are looking for the QD-OLED technology, and this is where I can't deny this technology for Samsung display to really get to that level it is mind blowing because this is year two of this. To get that close, that's where I get really excited about. And granted, I mean, if I do the HDR toggle, the tone mapping between static and active, yeah, you'll see that the X95K is brighter in certain
Hmm.
instances, but it's not by a huge margin. It's very close to each other. And it's like
Yeah.
I'm not doing any camera tricks because it's like both TVs
Right.
are in the same room. So nobody can say that. And people see my settings on there. So and I did a reset on the Sony X95K settings just to try to show people what I was doing. But it's Samsung, I
Hmm.
think they did a good job. It's like if I really have to nitpick on the S95C, is there is some black crush compared to the
Yeah, I can
X95K,
tell in this picture. Yeah.
and I think the Sony with the 85-inch has more detail than the S95C. But I'm like, that's like really nitpicking. It's not you're not going to notice that and stuff
Hmm.
if you get this. But that's me just trying to say something negative about it. But QD OLED technology, period. It I it's the future. That's what I see. Unless LG come out of left field and with the MLA technology and blow me away. But looking at this, if anybody is on the fence again, S95C or A95L, whenever Sony comes out with a TV, this is what you're looking at when you're going against mini LED.
Yeah. Look at this dude's armor. Just look at the shine on the armor. Like I just think that sticks out so much. Like it's scenes like that with metal involved. You can definitely see stuff. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's something to do with the tone mapping that Samsung implements, but it's just something. I fell in love with that technology last year, and I fell in love with the S95B. And I keep seeing the same kind of things being applied with the S95C.
Yeah, it's like for me, you could see the differences between what companies do with their tone mapping. So
Yeah.
if you look at this specific screen right here, you can see that Samsung focused more on the subject, more to
Mm-hmm.
bring that out compared to Sony. Sony does the same thing too, but if you look at the background behind the ship, you can see there's a lot more shadow detail in that area compared to the Samsung S95C towards the right. You can see that you can see the black. You don't see that detail at all. So those are
Right.
kind of like the things that I know I noticed a little bit, but it's just I don't know. It's just those are kind of like the things that I was just like, oh, this is interesting and stuff. So,
Yeah.
but but
I mean, it's big.
like I said, nobody can't you can't go wrong with it and stuff. So yeah, those are
Yeah.
kind of like the things I looked at.
Yeah. No, it's really really crazy, dude.
No, the Sony is on the left. If anybody is wondering, so the
Yeah.
X95K, the 85 inches on the left, and then the Sony, and the Samsung S95C is on the right.
Yep. So I tried to make it a little bit bigger for you guys.
Yeah.
Hopefully you can see that. But I just think like even just pulling out little screen grabs here and there, it's just oh man, you can see the difference. You
Yeah.
can just see the difference. Um, there are going to be some scenes too, where the LCD will stand out in its brightness, where you'll notice like, oh, there's that ABL that I know and love. So that does happen from time to time when we're talking about LCD and OLED. Even if it is QD OLED, you still do run into that case. But no, it's great. Like,
And, and then also too, I need to add this. So the X95K is not calibrated, or the S95C is calibrated. All
yeah,
this is out of the box settings. So
right.
I'm using Filmmaker mode on the S95C, which is supposed to be the most accurate, and then on the Sony, I'm using custom.
Yep,
So that's supposed to be their most accurate. And both of them are in HDR10 just to make sure I try to do it as fair as possible.
makes sense.
That's one thing I didn't say in the video. I'm not using Dolby Vision on the X95K because I don't think that would be fair. So both of them are in HDR10.
Yeah, that makes sense. And really want to hit this a super chat real quick from Dylan. He says, wouldn't you say LG is the OLED choice for those that are overly afraid of burn-in? I mean, even the C3 and G3 will destroy any other TV short of QD-OLEDs. Yeah, I mean, so that's a fair statement to make, Dylan, honestly. Right now, with what we're seeing from just the burn-in longevity tests from ratings and just the amount of people that complain about burn-in on recent OLED TVs from LG, there's not a lot. There's not a lot out there where people are like, oh, my new panel burned in, you know, or like my recent panel from when they made the switch to the WBE panels. You don't hear a lot of people talking about those panels burning in. So yeah, I think if you're overly concerned about burn-in, LG is a really good choice. I think that's fair to say.
Yeah.
But I don't think you should fear burn-in like as an average user if you're going to vary your content. And I don't think that should handcuff you, though, to an LG. Because if you vary your content, I would just say, well, get the one that you think looks the best. And don't be overly afraid of burn-in. Especially unless you're going to be watching CNN a lot or watching ESPN a lot, where that's the only thing you're watching, you know, constantly. Because remember, these are accelerated tests. So yeah, I would say LG is definitely probably a better choice for people that are overly afraid of burn-in. But I would say don't handcuff yourself if that's the case. Try not to be afraid of burn-in. I know that's a hard thing to like act on because there's a lot of this going on right now with the longevity test that can make you think twice about OLED TVs. Even me, I had to think about it for a second. I'm like, should I change the way that I talk about OLED TVs, the way that I think about them? And I think it just depends on the content that you watch. And as long as you vary your content, you're probably not going to have a problem with burn-in.
Yeah. Yeah. I unless you're using it as a monitor type stuff, it's like it's there's scenarios that like you know the type of work or type of content you watch, and if it's something with static, then yeah, you may potentially run into an issue.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but you could shuffle through. I had so much content that I couldn't possibly I could have did an hour of this, but it was just I was going back and forth. I had like other shots from like Wakanda Forever. Both, like I said, people.
I one suggestion, I would change the title to Sony X95K versus S95C, just in case, because that way you have it ordered properly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh
that's
yeah,
that's what
that's
I would
a good
do.
idea. Yeah. I'll do that.
That's the only thing I would do. I would almost say throw in the 93L, but I would just wait. I'll just wait on that. It's not even out. Nobody's really checking for that TV. I haven't met like one person that was like, I'm excited about the 93. I haven't heard too many people talk about the 93L that much yet. So I don't think you're missing out on audience there.
Yeah. So I know people have a lot of things against Samsung, but this is something that when the Sony come out with the A95L, this is something that to think about when it comes. I'm talking about like QD-OLED technology against mini LED. This is where I'm looking at this and saying like, yeah, they're close. They're close to each other. Isn't it? Is that's something that I'm just not going to say like, no, they're not close. No, they're really close.
Right. All right. Yeah, I'm gonna shuffle through some more of it. You guys should watch this whole thing after the stream. It's a good video. It's a good video. I think you did a really great job on it, and I was like really, really loving just the imagery that you presented. I thought that you captured it so well.
Thank you. Yeah, like even on this part.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, this is like really nitpicking and stuff. If you look at these and you didn't tell anybody which is which, I guarantee you a lot of people would be like, oh, they're the same TV and technology and stuff. And that's the part that I have to really try to gripe over. Even though I'm saying good, great things about the S95C, on the Sony X95K, for it to come out with is detail and coming out with the blacks, because a lot of people say it has a lot of blooming. These are
Hmm.
kind of like the examples I like to show as well too. And I showed this in another clip with Spider-Man No Way Home. It's like those are kind of like the things that people who are on the fence with mini LED, that's something to think about as well. So it's kind of like it depends on your use case scenario, as in what technology you want to go for. So that's something that I think about as well.
Yeah. This is one that kind of stuck out to me.
Yeah, this part. So just like how I mentioned before, so on the X95K, you can see there's a lot more shadow detail in the back when
Yeah.
and you can see Spider-Man a lot more.
Right.
Um, but as in brightness, right, if you look at the specular highlights and stuff,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
like both of them are pretty close.
Uh-huh.
But and this is kind of like this is going blow for each TV. So certain scenes that Samsung does better on than the X95K, and the X95K does better than the Samsung in certain scenes. But to the average person, you're not gonna really gonna notice that. And I'm saying these are default settings too. So of course you could tweak it and you'll get different results.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this image kind of relies more on like preference, because some people might really enjoy seeing the whole shadow detail that's being presented here on the X95K, but then a lot of other people might just gravitate towards how contrasty like the look of the S95C is here.
Yeah, that contrast.
It
And
just
that's something.
it's a different
Yeah.
kind of pop. So like I do like both images. I think I'd be fine with either. To be honest with you, I would be fine with either.
I, I I'll say this. If they had a bigger screen size version, then yeah, without a doubt, I'll go with QD-OLED technology and stuff. If it was the
Hmm.
same size as my TV, I would go with that. I'll let people know, but at the same time too, if people are concerned about the whole burn-in situation, mini LED came a long way as well too. So
Yeah, and this is a really good. This is a really tough scene for mini LED.
oh yeah, because you see the
Any
black
LCD
bars.
TV, yeah, any LCD. This is a tough scene because you got the light coming in that can bleak in towards the black bars, like you mentioned, and then
Yeah.
just the just nighttime scenes like this aren't really favorable on LCD TVs typically.
Oh yeah, you would
So
have saw it all in the black bars. You would have seen it. This would have been a total fail for mini LEDs TVs. But this is what I try to tell people on the 85-inch X95K. It's a different animal than other TV, other the
yeah,
smaller version on the X95K. But but the contrast on the S95C is yeah,
yeah,
it hits you.
something else.
And if you're looking for that HDR impact, the S95C definitely provides that and stuff. So in this
Yeah,
image right here,
that
I
red.
prefer the S9. Yeah, yeah. I prefer the S95C on this one, and I haven't went into too much detail. That's when my video was getting way too long because I had like an hour long video because I was going back and forth trying to figure out what I like better. The
Hmm.
X95K does do a better job with the shadow detail, but you do notice that it is kind of a little washed out compared to the S95C because you can look at Bumblebee and you can see the colors and
Yeah, it
stuff.
does. It does look like as if like you didn't have a wide angle filter on your TV and you looked at it from a slight angle. That's what it kind of looks like to me on that.
Yeah. So that's
It
something.
gives
So that's
that
something
off.
I do want to let people know. I
Hmm.
did notice that because when I'm looking at this, I'm like, yeah, I think the S95C did a better job, but majority of people are really not going to notice that. But this is me nitpicking at the X95K because it's like when I'm looking at this, the image is washed out on this particular scene compared to the S95C. You're not going to have that issue because it's the QD-OLED technology. But that's
Yeah.
something that I want to throw that out to people when it comes to both technologies. But when it comes to if we're going back to brightness and it, both of them are very similar and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, and then to answer this question, when are you gonna have access to LGs for the comparison? Hopefully at the end of the month. I'm hearing around March 20th is when they're gonna start shipping out. So hopefully by the end of the month we'll have them. and I'm gonna try to get the C3 and the G3 at the same time, and the QN90C at the same time. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. I said it last year. I wasn't gonna do that again. I lied.
Yeah.
So, because I was thinking, like, how else am I gonna do it if I space them out? Like, what's the point? I might as well just have them. Like, is it more of a hassle? Is it more of a like stress on me having them here because it feels like I have to do more content on them? Maybe, but at the same time, I like having access to them, different ones, you know.
Here's a good one. Here, you do this one.
My wallet, yeah, my wallet's gonna feel it for sure.
Oh yeah, it's gonna feel. Yeah, I'm gonna be feeling it too because I'm not only doing TVs. I'm gonna be doing some
Shout
other
out to
stuff
my
too.
credit score. My credit score is gonna be like, oh, yo, what?
What are you doing?
What are you doing? What are you doing? We gotta drop you. We gotta drop you.
Yeah, exactly. So this is too much utilization. Come on.
Yeah, way
Come
too
on.
much credit utilization. I've been working on that too. I've been trying to get like higher limits so that doesn't happen this year.
Oh, come on. It's all for the better part of the,
True.
the content, and people want to see stuff like this.
True.
But getting back to this and stuff, I'll say this: both TVs did a great job and stuff. It comes down to preference. Now, the other thing is with Samsung, we don't know what they're gonna do with their firmware update. This is where I'm kind of like switching between active and
Oh, okay.
yeah. I don't think.
All right. Yeah, I remember this.
Yeah, active and static. So some people ask me which one do I like. Um, it depends on the content. I watched it with static, and I think it's plenty as well because I think static is more supposed to be an accurate realm, and active is kind of like Samsung view.
Yeah.
So I kind of toggle between both. But if you want to have it on full blast, then active it will be your go-to. But you do notice on certain things when it comes to skin tones, and you do notice a difference when it comes to switching that to active mode, as in when it comes to the colors and the brightness of certain scenes with the content that you look at.
Yeah. Nah, I thought it was a really great video. Everybody should check it out because your commentary on it is really good and it helps people understand the difference. And I think that's a really important thing. I also think maybe you should put like QD-OLED versus LCD in your title or something too.
Oh yeah, good one.
Yeah.
I switched the name up already.
Okay. Yeah. That's what I think that would be. People search for that term a lot, so I'm giving away my secrets. No, yeah, no, it's great. Really great video. I thought it was excellent. And let's talk about some questions. You guys have questions? Let's ask some questions. How much longer you got, Max?
I'm good, man.
You good? Okay.
I
So
think
we can
this
take
week
some
has
questions.
this week has been good to me, especially with the content information that's coming out with LG, the burn-in test, the comparison, because that comparison that was crazy and stuff, and Sony. I think Brian did a great job clearing that whole information up with Rob from Sony. It's so much stuff that we could talk about with that. So if anybody want to dive into those type of questions, I think that would be a good discussion as well. I wish Brian was on. That would have been great. He could kind of talk about that more. But yeah, we'll probably catch him next time.
Yeah, no, his interview was excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to look through chat, see if I see any questions. You guys have questions, put them in chat. Taking any questions at all right now. So, like, any question you have, buying questions. Should I buy this? Should I buy that? That's a good question. I always like answering those. Those are fun to me. And then we also we'll take any question based on technology coming out for TVs and release dates, things like that. Take any question you guys want. Any question. So, just leave some. Just got to leave them. That's the thing. And then if you want the question answered, we'll try to get to it as soon as possible. If you want the instant response, of course, you could send a super chat and that's also going to support the channel, and that is much appreciated if you do that. But it is never required, so I always got to state that. Because I actually had one dude was like, "You only answer super chats." I'm like, "No, that's not true. Come on. Like, how many streams have you been a part of? I try to get to everybody, especially at the end. At the end, we open it up, and it seems like nobody types at the end. So it's like, come on, you got to work with us."
Yeah, one thing I gotta say too, we have over 160 people in the chat.
Awesome.
It's crazy that so many people are so curious and want to be part of the chat and discussion. It's yeah, thanks for the support.
Yeah. No, that's really cool. I wanted to check something. Make sure
Yeah,
that
as I was
type
talking, I didn't
this.
even
Okay.
look at the question. Everybody's still talking about the burn-in.
Yeah, so what I did basically was I put Max's name in the description, so if you guys aren't familiar with his channel, go check it out and make sure you subscribe to his channel. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel for whatever reason, please subscribe to my channel. That would be cool. But we also have a super chat here from Stefan. And he says he has a C9. He wants a 77-inch. Would a B2 be a downgrade? I would say no. I would say it's not a downgrade. It's going to be very similar to the C9 though. So I wouldn't say it's a downgrade. I would say it's more of like a side grade. But I feel like that would be the case if you got a C2. So I don't think there's a huge advantage of going with OLED to OLED unless you're going up a size. So since you say you want a 77-inch, I presume you have something lower than that. So yeah, a 77-inch B2 would actually be pretty solid, especially if you're used to a C9. You're not going to see like a huge increase, but processing will be better than a C9, I would imagine. Even though it is a lower processor than like the C3 or the C2, you're still going to see improvements with the C over the C9, I would imagine.
And then also, I just want to add that if you're gaming, just to make sure that you only could do it at 60. That's the only thing.
Well, not the B2.
I thought the B2 was only 60.
No, the B2 is 120 hertz. It's just
it's
the only caveat over the B2 and the C2 is going to be the amount of HDMI 2.1 ports available.
Okay.
So we only have 2 on the B2.
Okay, I was thinking about
with one shared with the ERC. Yeah, and then
the A2.
The processing itself is going to be a little bit less than what the C2 can give you. So you might run into more posterization when you're gaming, things like that. But I think the B2 is actually underrated, very solid. People don't recommend it enough. And if this was what's in your budget, then yeah, I think it's a good deal.
Yeah, I was thinking about the A2.
And B2 has VR. Yeah. I think C9 should have VR too.
Yeah,
Most TVs have VR. Yeah, I can't think of too many TVs that don't have VR these days.
Was that the first introduction?
No, because I think
for
the
LG
C8 had it.
C8. Okay.
Maybe. I know the C7 didn't have it because I wanted it and I couldn't get it. So maybe the C8. It might be the C9. You might be right. It might be the first implementation of VR.
Yeah, because I think that's where LG. You have all the ports. That was HDMI 2.1.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it was the full bandwidth, and then I think that's when they went to the C10 or whatever it was. That's when they went 40, and people was complaining about that and stuff. So yeah.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
They're talking about the longevity test in the chat right now.
I'm telling you,
if you got questions, yeah. Oh, here's the question. Yeah, EHJ, thank you. He says the C2, G2 picture-in-picture. Does it have the picture-in-picture feature, and is it in-depth like the Sony A95L will be? Also, will the G3, C3, and S95C have it too? Yeah, every single model that you just mentioned has the picture-in-picture feature, the multi-view feature. But I want to state that the picture-in-picture isn't going to be, none of them can do the two HDMI at the same time. It's only going to be like your one HDMI source and then like YouTube or a web browser or a different app, things like that. But it's never going to be HDMI and HDMI. They call it multi-view.
Yeah, it seemed like everybody is starting to do it now, which I get. I don't know. I just never got into the whole picture-in-picture type situation because I remember back in late '90s, that was like the greatest feature in the world and stuff. So, and then they took that away, and now they're bringing it back, which
Yeah.
I think it's kind of interesting on its own and stuff. They need to bring back 3D. Come on.
Yeah,
3D technology.
A95L, will it dim in game mode? There's no indicator of that yet. I'd imagine that nothing really changed on that front. They didn't talk about anything that would indicate that this is the case, so I'd expect it to perform similar to the A95K in terms of the way that gaming is handled. A couple questions here, but here's one that who makes the best TVs overall? That's gonna start a little bit of a debate, so I thought that would be a fun one to pull up.
Yeah, everybody gonna. This whole chat will just burn up.
I think it just depends on the model. I don't think there's actually like one specific maker that's better than the other. And I think it depends on what you want, what you're looking for. Because if you ask me, it's just kind of up in the air right now. Depends on what you like. Depends on what you want. So
Yeah,
I don't really have
I don't know.
I don't really have an answer for this because I think that all three of them are very similar. They're very close. They all have their downsides. Like Samsung is really great at what they do, but man, do they have firmware issues. And LG is really great at what they do, but man, do they have some other issues like the SDR gaming, but that's more of a personal thing, right? Like that is a personal thing for me. And I also feel like they've been lacking on the technology front and processing front. So that would be another personal thing for me. Sony has been killing it, but they've also been lacking on the gaming front. Another personal thing for me. So it's like you have downsides to every company. And I don't think there's a solid answer. I don't think there's one company that makes the best TV overall. There is no best TV overall, unfortunately.
I like one.
Philips at Walmart. Nice. Yeah, that is the only Philips we get. But we'll be having a Philips monitor this year, though. That's kind of cool.
And then this one too. I thought it was kind
Toshiba.
Funny.
Yeah. Don't forget about Emerson and Insignia.
Oh yeah, Signia and
Bro, Insignia, we used to pump Insignia like crazy at Best Buy. They're like, you selling Insignia today? I'll buy you a lunch. I'm like, all right. I got you. I'll have to find a grandma that might want a TV. Then I can recommend her an Insignia. Because Insignias are good for what they are and the price they're at, right? But they're not going to be competing with like anything crazy. But they're priced accordingly. And I think that's one where if you need a super budget TV, it's not a bad idea. So it wasn't hard for me to sell those, honestly.
yeah. So yeah, I don't know because it's I don't know it's like so many different case scenarios because some people just absolutely hate OLED technology and they want to go for LCD TV and then vice versa, and then some people who use it for one reason compared to the other. I mean, those are kind of like the things that is kind of like I can't say.
Yeah. No. If any of my videos ever get like a lot of traction, like I will always get comments saying that you never recommend like some of these off the wall brands like a Westinghouse. You never recommend Westinghouse. What's wrong with you? It's like, is this a troll? Like, are we really seriously talking about Westinghouse right now in the same conversation as all these other brands? Like, are we really talking about that? Like, it's not even worth having a discussion on. Those TVs are all going to be the same. And I want to eventually like go down a little bit lower on my reviews. So X85K, for example, is going to be full array this year. That might be intriguing, you know, because finally we actually have it not be direct lit. It's more so something that's tolerable in that price point now. Full array is going to be competing in that price point, especially we're talking about TCL is going to have a full array in that lineup instead of mini LED this year. So really, Hisense is the only one that's going to be mini LED in that conversation in that price point. So it's going to be an interesting test to see if full array is better than mini LED in a lower end, because in lower end, it's all about how you control the zones. You could have mini LED technology, and it won't matter if you're not controlling the zones good, right? You can actually get more problems with blooming from mini LED if you're not controlling the zones properly than like with a full array.
Yeah,
So
I'm kind of curious about the X90L as well too, to see what they're gonna do and stuff, because
yeah,
Rob or people from Sony did make a big claim that you should compare it to a mini LED TV and you'd be surprisingly shocked how
yeah.
that
And
goes.
if I said X85K, I meant X85L. I keep doing that. Yeah, and it will still be X1. Yeah, you're right. It's still going to do that, but like I'm just talking about for like that price bracket, right? And I'll definitely call that fact out because it's not going to be something I recommend to gamers. Because gamers should pay a little bit more for the X90L. 100% agree with that. But we know that we're gonna see the X85L at some decent price points. It's just like right now, people are like, if you go through the comments on my like don't make a mistake video that's kind of being traction lately, you'll see a lot of the comments are like, I can't believe you're talking down on the X85K like that. It's like, man, I got an X80K and I love it. And it's like, okay, that's cool. But that doesn't defeat the fact that in that same price bracket, you could have got a TCL 6 Series. And it's a better TV overall. Like, that was my whole point of the video, is that those models are in no man's land. You know? It's like they're in the territory of Hisense and TCL are going to be the best there. So that's where I fall with that. S95B, S90C, G3, Q90. Y was last year's A95. Whoa, you gotta tone it down a little bit. You're typing a little bit too much. I'm confused on why you're typing all these models. LED is not God. If you have many, I can't even read some of these. So slow down the chat there. And if you have a question, though, make sure you type that.
One question that came up was this one's a good one.
Yeah. So probably not, because this is going to be a really expensive, hard to get TV. I believe you have to directly order it from Hisense themselves, unless one of the retailers, maybe Robert, will carry it. So that'll be another way to get it. I would imagine no. If I had to guess, no.
Yeah, that's gonna be. I think my only thing is that trying to do an 85 inch against 85, that's gonna be kind of challenging and stuff. I won't say no, yes or no and stuff. I will say I'll see.
Yeah. Typically don't do those big TVs. You know me. I'm restricted at that.
Yeah, but
I'm really hoping Brandon does, though. I'm hoping Brandon gets one.
But I am excited to see what they're gonna do for this year, because to have all their lineup, the Hisense mini LED, and it's going to be at a good value as well. And they claiming they're going to be trying to go for the best mini LED for the king of mini LEDs. That's their word that they said. I really want to see what that's going to be about.
Yep. And then what do you guys think of the X95L compared to the X95K? Again, another 85-inch TV. Really, that's it though. I think my
Yeah.
takeaway from this was I really wish it was in other sizes, but I think what they saw with the X95K is how praised the 85-inch was. So why not just like make the 85-inch its own thing and improve it a little bit more and just make that their flagship, the hot seller.
I don't.
And they said it's a marketing decision. So I want like, how much do we have to do with that? Because like as content creators, dang man, did I'm not even saying me because I didn't review it, but I'm just saying like as content creators as a whole, the X95K took a beating in other sizes last year.
Oh yeah, yeah. People was talking to me saying like, why did you get the 85-inch
Yeah,
and stuff? So I mean, the 85-inch ticked pretty much all the boxes for me. So and for I wasn't doing it just for content or anything. I'm doing it for my personal use because I really like the TV and stuff. So
mm-hmm.
but the the X95L, I really don't know. They say there's improvements to it, but I don't know if it's going to be enough improvements for me to really pick that up just to do a comparison with.
Right,
That's just kind of like my thing because it's kind of like just like the S95C. I think that's a better comparison between those two TVs just because it's two different technologies. But with the X95L, it's just like I don't know that it's going to be a big enough difference to really tell
right.
between the X95K or the X93L. And those are kind of like the things I'm trying to pick my battles with.
Yeah, it sounds like it's gonna be. I think they said 20% more zones. It's not a lot.
No, it's not a lot. I mean,
And
it's what they do
then
with the zones too. So
yeah,
I mean, that's important. But
right. And then you got the sound improvements, which you don't care about.
no, I don't. I don't care about
Right.
that.
So
I know a lot of people ask me that question. So how's the S95C TV speaker? I mean,
yeah,
they're decent and stuff, but people are saying like, would it replace a soundbar? No, it's not, and stuff. I mean, I still say get a soundbar and stuff,
right.
but if it's a situation where you can't put a soundbar, they're good. They're decent speakers and stuff. So,
Yeah.
oh, I think you got a super chat.
I do. I do. Dylan Sharp, thank you. He said, I missed the beginning of the stream. What did I miss? Sony talk? Any important bullet points? Anybody? I can't see. I can't read. Oh, I can read it over here. Never mind. Anyone else getting a M3 to test for fun? I like the M3. I thought the M3 was really cool, innovative. When I saw it, I was like, ah, yeah, they actually have a wireless TV now. That's pretty awesome. Um, Not gonna get it. I don't even know when it's gonna get released. I haven't heard when it's going to get released this year. It might be something that doesn't get released this year. It'll be something that gets released next year. I'm not sure on this. Um, it could have just been like, this is kind of our prototype. We are going to release it. We are, that's what they said, but we'll see. I'm not gonna get it personally. I don't have any use case for it, but I think it's cool for people that could utilize it. As far as the beginning of the stream goes, what did you miss? Longevity talk from ratings. We did the ratings breakdown of burn-in. So ratings did a burn-in test. They also found that during this test, they also found that there was going to be issues with some of their panels that they ran into. Some of their panels failed. So we just dug into little things and why those panels failed. Kind of just talked about, is it important to buy a warranty nowadays? Because it sort of all tied into that discussion. If you're into that kind of thing, I would suggest going back after this and watching that, because it was a pretty good conversation. I thought it was a very valuable conversation to have, because it is a topic that we don't talk about enough, and that is where your money's going at the end of the day, is into these TVs. Some of you guys are keeping them for 3, 4 years, 5 years even, and it matters to have, something that you can rely on. So those longevity tests, those extended usage tests, those are really important. So that's one of the things we talked about. After that, we talked about the G3. So I don't know if you came in on that, but we definitely talked about the G3 and how that TV is very important this year. And LG needs to put up or shut up. Pretty much was the whole like topic of that. But I'm really excited for the G3. I'm so excited for the G3. That was one of my biggest takeaways. And then EHJ, thoughts on the new Mario and Zelda movie coming? Thank you for the super chat. I didn't know about the Zelda movie. This is news.
I didn't know about that. That's news to me. But the
Mario movie looks pretty dope. I think it looks
Yeah.
pretty cool.
I'm going.
So I'll see that.
I'm going to see that. This is going to be. I'm going to take the kids to see that, and
Yeah.
that would be my excuse to say like, yeah, I'm going to watch this.
I might round up the nieces and nephews and go to the Mario movie.
Yeah. Somebody had a question which I thought was kind of funny. We could talk about this.
Yeah, but I'm not sure about the Zelda movie though. That's news.
Yeah, Zelda is new.
I feel like I hope you're not trolling me. Don't be trolling me on that, because that'd be really cool.
This is a good one.
Oh yeah, the best burger chain debate. Did we talk about burgers yet?
We talked about it a little bit.
Yeah.
You
We
said
talked about
Shake
chicken,
Shack.
and we talked about pizza last week. I was gonna do burgers this week,
Yeah,
so we could
Shake-
do burgers this week.
Yeah, we could do shit.
Oh no, yeah, no, we did. Shake Shack was the definitive
Yeah,
winner.
yeah, we did
You're
Shake
right.
Shack.
You're right. We did. How did I forget that? Yeah, Shake Shack's by far the winner. It's not even close. Shake Shack is what Five Guys wish it could be.
Oh yeah, it's way better than Five Guys.
Yeah.
Five Guys is.
And then In and Out is terrible. That's like we don't even discuss In and Out. I know, but that I'm gonna get a lot of hate for that.
Ooh.
Everybody,
Okay.
yeah, that's a strong take.
Oh, people gonna talk about In and Out.
That's a strong take. In and Out is overrated.
That's a slap.
In
That's a
and
slap
Out
to
is like the
face right there.
Vizio of burgers.
Yeah.
I'm just joking about that. I don't even think that even holds up.
Well, yeah, I say Shake Shack is yeah, I think it's one of the best burger places. I wish it had
David, I'm sorry.
we do have this local, well, yeah, we do have this local burger place in Michigan. It's called, if anybody is a Pulp Fiction fan, they named their restaurant Now That's a Tasty Burger. And Samuel Jackson always make that line in Pulp Fiction, which I think is funny. And their burgers are, if anybody visit Michigan and they go somewhere, if they're looking for a great burger place, that place is crazy good.
Yeah.
And that's people who's into Pulp Fiction and stuff. So
Yeah. Let's hit some more questions, and then we'll think of a food thing before we get out of here. That's a good idea. I'll think of that while we take some questions too. And then Scott, thank you for the question. He says S95C having HDR10 plus compared to the A95L having Dolby Vision. Is there a big difference? I mean, they're both going to be the dynamic metadata technology. It's going to support different content. There's more Dolby Vision content than there is HDR10 plus content. In reality, though, like the difference between HDR10 plus versus regular HDR10 and Dolby Vision and HDR10, there's differences, yes, but man, those are subtle. There's some really subtle differences, and I think like a TV not having one of these is not a deal breaker for me.
yeah, FOMO just came back. He said, "Y'all still on?
Hey, FOMO, what's good?
You always could join."
Yeah, always.
They're probably saying like, "Dang, you on strong." Yeah, I mean, hey, we got 100. Well, it was 160. Now we have over 150. So yeah, so
Yeah, so let's get to a couple more questions. All right, this is the last warning. Not warning. You guys aren't doing anything wrong. Maybe the guy that's spamming a little bit, but that's about it. But this
you
is
should
the
say
final
the last
warning.
call.
Yeah, last call. That's what I meant. This is the last call for questions. There you go.
You'd be at a club or a bar, and they start to do the little lights and stuff like that, and they start to play different songs and stuff, saying like, "Yeah, let's wrap this up."
Yep. Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
but
getting ready to call it too. But any more questions? TCL OLED. So I don't think it's coming this year, right? That's what I'm hearing.
but you was
They were
there at
talking about it,
CES.
and then
I
yeah,
don't think
nah.
they're gonna. I don't think. They, I don't think. I think that's just something that you just have in the background that they play with and bring it out the trade
Mm-hmm.
shows to just
Yeah,
show it.
that was just that was the CSOT from TCL, their display company. That was their JOLED or the JOLED. Is that what it's called? Yeah, so I don't think it's coming anytime soon. And then the QD-OLED rumor that happened to not be a thing. It was like a typo apparently from TCL. They're not gonna do it this year. Let me look the questions.
Oh, this is a good one.
Yeah.
Even though it's nothing to do with OLEDs and mini LED, but this is something you was interested in when you
Oh
was
yeah, I
there.
love the laser TVs. If you guys aren't familiar with laser TVs, they're pretty much going to be ultra short throws with a screen, pretty much. So you just get a screen with your ultra short throw, and it's a nice screen. And from what I saw, I compared it like it was to me. It's like a direct lit TV almost. It's almost like looking at something like that. Like I would be fine with that kind of brightness, that kind of contrast in a big size. So I'm personally really interested in the laser TVs, and I can't wait to review one. So yeah, it's a projector. It's a projector. So laser TV is basically an ultra short throw projector. It just has a screen. So
Yeah, I like projectors.
this
The only
has like
reason,
a screen. I think it's called
because
I'm
I
really
know
bad at
people
that.
ask me that. I know people ask me those questions all the time, and I used to have projectors. I used to have multiple projectors. It's just the thing is the reason why I didn't do projectors is because it's just the investment that goes into it. Because
Mm-hmm.
my issue was during the time before I switched to TVs, is just changing the bulbs and stuff, and those could get really costly. And if you really add that up, depending on how much you use the projector, it costs way more than the TVs that I have and stuff. So, and then there's the environment too. It's like where I was located at. I had a lot of windows, and I know people are saying like, "Why you have a projector with a lot of windows?" At the time, I thought it was a good idea, but I learned my lesson. But now I kind of like switched out of that.
Yeah. No. Projectors interest me big time for sure. Especially all the advancements that's been happening with it. Um, Unpopular opinion: if you have a TV, put it side by side to see a difference. Don't upgrade. I saw a G2 and S95B 10 feet apart with the C1, C2, etc., and one did not look drastically brighter than the other. I think that's a really good point. Um, Seating distance matters so much too. And I think that sometimes people take too much stock into premium TVs if they're only sitting a certain amount of feet away. Like, if you're sitting too far away to appreciate the premium TV, then you might as well get like a mid-tier TV and go bigger. Like if you're going to sit that far away. So I do see that kind of opinion a lot and a lot of questions regarding that. And I agree. And I think that there's going to be cases too where some people would upgrade a little bit too early. So a lot of these TVs are very close. And to your point, Terrence, I think that most people will be fine with any of the TVs you mentioned. And if they're
Yep.
all side by side, it's hard to pick one out if you're showing regular content. Now, if we're talking about showing the TV strengths, then you can see a difference. Yes. And again, when we're doing these comparisons, we're nitpicking hard. Like Max was saying, like he loves his X95K, but the S95C beat it in some cases. But he still wouldn't give up his X95K because of the size, and there's not enough separation there.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely.
really good.
So, oh, you
Happy
got a
Super
super
Mario
chat.
Day. Yeah, I forgot about that. This is Mario 10. Mar 10. I love that. Makes sense.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So thank you, ESJ, for that. Always showing love, man. Let's see. Yep.
Yeah, this.
Here's another question from Dylan. He says, what do you think APL and peak brightness? We'll see. Okay, so what do you think APL and peak brightness? We will see when we get our hands on the G3. Should we see an improvement? Yes, but it is still going to be an LG OLED panel. So we're still going to use the same panel. It's just enhanced by MLA. So it's still going to suffer from the same drops and stuff. So that's going to be something to watch for when it's next to a QD-OLED. That's where I think the QD-OLED could separate. And Classy explained this very well in his video. Again, if you guys haven't watched Classy's video talking about this, it's a really good video to watch and to kind of understand this a little bit better. A lot of it has to do with the power output and just the way that ABL works in general and the way that APL works, because APL is average picture level, ABL is the automatic brightness limiter, and they kind of fight each other. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what the G3 does with that. So APL is average picture level, and then ABL is automatic brightness limiter, and then ASBL is automatic static brightness limiter. So, and Bravia Cam.
Oh, I know you was about to pick that. I was looking at that. I was like,
Just like random
everybody
Bravia Cam.
wanna talk about the Bravia Cam.
All right.
Sony, you can make this so much cheaper if y'all just take off the Bravia Cam.
I got a poll for you guys.
Another poll with the Bravia Cam.
No, this time it's not Bravia Cam, I swear.
Yeah,
All right.
this is. I'll talk about the Bravia Cam for a second. Maybe
All right, I'm gonna do like, should we do like best taco joint? What could we do? I'm trying to think of a food poll.
See, I don't have a lot of taco joints in
Because
here.
we need something mainstream enough that it's gonna be everywhere. We did pizza, we did burgers, we did chicken. What am I missing?
Yeah, tacos, but in Michigan we don't have a lot of
Wing spots. That's really good. Yeah.
wing
we could
spots
do
are
wing
pretty
spots.
good.
Yeah, let's do
wing
that.
spots, yeah. Yeah, tacos. We only have like Taco Bell and Del Taco for
Alright,
like
so-
a major.
Got Wingstop. Got Buffalo Wild Wings. What else?
They're so terrible. They used to be good. They used to be so good.
I don't
Now
mind them.
they-
I don't mind them. But I like boneless wings. So
Yeah, well, it's just the thing is, they're not like how they used to be. Ever since they got bought out, so
what else is there? Wingstop, Buffalo Wild Wings. What else? I'm trying to
KFC.
think. I guess, is that a wing spot? Can we actually call KFC a wing spot? That feels like that's not a thing, but all right. We'll add it until we find better.
Popeye's chicken.
Oh my gosh, this is also not wings. They don't even have wings. Do they just have like chicken? They have wings, but they're not like wings.
I don't know. I'm just thinking. No, that's
Yeah.
that's not a wing stop. I take that back. You take those two off.
Yeah, we're gonna take those off. But I need more.
Yeah.
What's the I don't know. Is there any other commercial wings place?
It's only Wingstop and Buffalo Wild Wings I could think of.
Oh, that's cool. And then Dylan Sharp, thank you for the super chat. He says we could make a dope One Connect box. Now I give people what they want. They want a remake of the Xbox connected cameras. We'll give it the Bravia Cam. That's hilarious. So you're basically like going through Sony's thought process with that super chat. Yeah, they could have
know
just
what?
made a One Connect box, but they were just like, we'll just make a camera. Why not?
Oh, I was about to say. I said which Brian said something about the Bravia.
Oh man, I was trying to get him to say something like that. I just forgot. I
don't think you would ask that question because then I
Talk
think
about
that,
well, you could have at least talked about like what the benefits of the Bravia Cam was, since we have no freaking clue. You know, maybe Rob could at least sold it to us a little bit. then we would maybe have our mind made up a little bit on that.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of set in stone that there's no benefit to
Oh, I
Bravia Cam.
disagree, Mitchell. I want a One Connect box. If I'm mounting my TV, give me that. I will take that. It's less work that you have to do when you're talking about mounting your TV. So I disagree with that. I think there's a lot of people that want a One Connect box. People love the. Yeah, it's true. I mean, we can't stop talking about it.
Oh, they're gonna
Portable
have
micro
a Bravia.
LED in 9 years. Jeez.
Yeah.
This guy, I will be dead before micro LED is affordable. Dave, don't die, man. Please. Bravia Cam
Different
over the One
technology
Connect
besides
box.
micro.
Are we really doing this right now? We can't think of any other wing places, so I'm just gonna go Wingstop versus Buffalo Wild Wings. Oh no. FOMO. It's hilarious, man.
That's just tell you. That's just tell you that we need to wrap this up.
Yeah, we gotta. I can't. All right. What's another wing? I'm gonna put KFC and Popeyes on it. I can't think. I know nobody's gonna pick it, so just pick between Wingstop and Buffalo Wild Wings. Let's do it. Bravia Cam better than wings.
All right, come on.
All right,
Stop.
AB. That's a little ridiculous, man.
You know,
That's
Sony.
a
Sony
little
would
bit
love.
ridiculous.
Sony loves this type of marketing.
Yeah,
You-
free
you-
marketing.
I bet you. I know the marketing department said, "Why are we getting so much? So much highway on this Bravia Cam? Come on, everybody talk about the Bravia Cam."
Yeah. Games for Bravia Cam, like let's get some games that work with Bravia Cam. Then I might be on board, you know.
People say Bravia Cam is overrated.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like Wingstop is not getting the love right now. Whoever votes KFC's banned. Oh yeah, we could have added Hooters. You're right. I forgot about Hooters, man.
That's
I forgot about Hooters.
they all right. They okay.
Yeah, and I don't think they would win. I don't think they're like up there, but they do sell chicken
I forgot
wings.
about Hooters. Yeah, I haven't been to
Yeah.
Hooters in so many years.
That's a good reason. Dylan Sharp with Super Chat says affordable micro LED is just 9 years away, just like cold fusion is always 5 years away until then we at least have Bravia Cam. Nice. Forever a meme,
Yeah,
Bravia Cam. You've done it.
Somebody got to make a meme with Bravia Cam and the Connect, Xbox Connect, and just show them RIP.
You joke about the Bravia Cam, but I'm going to do an extensive review about it this year. Once I get the A95L, we are going in depth. I'm going to make sure that video is known and people know about the Bravia Cam. Because I feel like it just was not talked about enough last year. Nobody said anything about it.
My Bravia Cam didn't work with the X95K.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Because you remember when I knew it was connected, but the features wasn't released yet. So I had it connected. It said it recognized it, and then I was trying to figure out like, okay, how does this work? And the only thing I think it worked with was the Google Duo and stuff. I'm not going to use that. I'm not going to do no conference with another person on the TV as I'm watching TV. That's crazy.
Yeah. Man. Who voted for KFC and Popeyes? They tied. Buffalo Wild Wings and Wingstop just tied. Wow. I would say Wingstop is the tiebreaker. I like Wingstop better. What do you like better?
I was just talking about Buffalo Wild Wings, but I'm going with Buffalo Wild Wings.
Oh, really? You don't like Wingstop?
No, Wingstop is pretty good, but
Oh, you like
I don't know.
You like Buffalo Wild Wings better than Wingstop?
well,
That's
there's certain foods that I like,
Right.
Buffalo Wild Wings. That I
We
think
just
the
gotta talk about
Wingstop-
wings as a whole, though, like just the wings. Because I agree with you. There is some pretty fire
I s-
stuff at Buffalo.
I-
Like the cheese curds are amazing
Yeah,
at Buffalo Wild Wings.
yeah. No, I still would say stay. I still would say Buffalo Wild Wings.
Yeah.
I I like the mango habanero sauce. That's why I like Buffalo Wild Wings so much. I know Wingstop have something similar, but I
Mhm.
always have to get that at Buffalo Wild Wings. That's my reasoning. It's because of that sauce.
Yeah. Dylan with the super chat. Only one choice, God's chicken, Chick-fil-A. I love
Yeah,
Chick-fil-A.
Chick-fil-A.
I
Yeah.
If they made chicken wings, I'd be happy. But they don't. I will
I
say that
agree.
Chick-fil-A, like I like their spicy chicken sandwiches, but my goodness, sometimes they're way too spicy. And I don't know why they don't have a consistency to them. Because sometimes they're like, okay, I could eat that. And then sometimes I'm like, I should not have got this. This is terrible. So, yeah.
Look at this. See, I have another person who feels the same way. That
That's
sauce is
true, yeah.
fantastic. That thing is fire.
They do
It's
have more
fire.
innovative sauces. They do.
That's the reason why. Well, you know what, I take that back. That's the only sauce that I really get from Buffalo Wild Wings. And so I haven't tried the other sauces that much.
Mm,
I know I gotta have to dabble in other areas.
yeah. Well, all right, guys. If you guys haven't hit the like button already, you know, it's not too late. You can hit the like button on your way out. Max, do you want to pump up your channel? Talk about the video you did today. We talked about it a little bit, but just go watch it, guys.
Well, I just put out a video, the mini LED X95K going against the Samsung S95C. Go and check that out. People are going to be surprised as in how close the S95C gets with mini LED, but also with mini LED, how close they are getting to OLED technology when it comes to their black levels and blooming areas. So both TVs, I think people should take a look at because two different technologies.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And subscribe to the channel, of course.
Yes, please go subscribe to Max's channel. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already. And then check out everybody else on the community too, because they're amazing. FOMO just put out a great video. Classy
yeah,
just put out a great video. Brian put out a good video this week. Brandon put out a good video. Like, just go check out all those guys, man. Honestly, I can't even mention everybody. I just think that they all do such a great job, and it's great. Oh yeah, I put out a video too.
Oh, yeah, I was just about to say, you just put out a video.
I
today
did.
about the
I did. I
settings.
forgot about that.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I just did. And I'll be working on more videos this week or next week probably. So might be a little bit of delay between my videos. I'm trying on the QN90C. Want to get a good video for the QN90C 43-inch that I'm checking out. And then it's going to be TV season in about 2 weeks. I mean, it's already TV season, but it's like more preseason right now. We're in preseason. That's what I think we're more in preseason. Once the G3 drops, once the S95C drops in all sizes, then we're talking, right? Then we're talking. And Class is about to get the 65-inch QN90C. Excited about that. So we're going to see.
And then you got
and
another
then-
super chat. We gotta
Yeah,
hit
Michael,
that.
thank you for the super chat. He says,
yeah,
thanks for
thanks.
another stream, y'all. Appreciate you so much. Appreciate everybody who has done the super chats, everybody who has asked the questions, everybody who stuck with us this whole entire time. And thank you. I know we just had like 50 people drop off when we started talking about chicken, but I don't care because it's fun. And or was it the Bravia cam that made the 50 people
I think it was
drop
the
off?
Bravia.
Okay, yeah. So we'll just blame the Bravia cam. We will
Come
not
on,
put that on.
Sony.
We're not putting that on the chicken wings. Sorry. But yeah, thank you guys. Always awesome to be here as well. And Max, it's always a pleasure, man. It's always a
Oh,
pleasure.
no, thanks for the invite, man. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
and then you
Oh.
gotta hit this one too.
MMA Dan, thank you. Appreciate it, man. Appreciate the love. Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
It's like I said, it's a pleasure.
No, it's fun hanging out with everyone and stuff. So take care.
Yep. Yeah, no, I want to do the audio of this one time and just be able to put it out there. We're going to try to do this more segmented in the future. I think it would be just such a good way for people like to listen if they want to. I used to love podcasts, audio podcasts. So yeah, I'm going to work on to see if I can do that as well. So, but yeah, thank you guys for hanging out. And thank you guys as always. Have a great day and I appreciate you. See you next time.
All right, take care.
Peace.